right? Things are kind of shaky up in Minneapolis right now. Fred, this story broke a couple hours ago. There was a woman who was, and I want to play some audio that Tim Walz just said, this guy up in Minneapolis. But there was chaos that had already erupted in a neighborhood in Minneapolis because ICE had moved in for an operation. I don't think, Fred, that the operation has been, been given very many specifics or anything like that. We just know that there were protesters that were there. And then at one point, and there's video that's emerged now of several different angles of this, there is an SUV that's parked in the middle of the street. It's a snowy street. An officer approaches the vehicle. An ICE officer tries to open the handle and get the woman out of the car. She accelerates forward. There's another officer in front of that vehicle, and that officer is, if you look at the video, you can make a case that his life might be in jeopardy. He opens fire, shoots her 3 times. She's dead. Now, the rhetoric that has come out of Minneapolis today is really unbelievable. From Jacob Fry, who says, get the F out of Minneapolis, to Tim Walz. And I'm going to play you some of that audio right now. But this is one of those situations where it's bubbling up. And, I said this on Twitter a few minutes ago. What's the over-under on fires in Minneapolis tonight? I don't want to say that jokingly, but I'm telling you, things are going to get out of control. Listen to what Walz said. Now, look, here's what I will tell you. And, Fred, you know this. We've been discussing this for the last few hours. When I first saw the video of this, I thought, that looks like a justifiable shooting. It was a distant video. You could see that the officer had to get out of the way of the vehicle, right? Well, then I saw a different angle. And that angle kind of changed my mind a little bit and said, you know what, maybe that's not a justifiable shooting. Then I saw that angle slowed down into slow motion, and that gave me a different perspective. I think the point that I'm making is, and I did this with Mike Brown, how about we wait for some facts to come in? Because the video is very narrowly focused on the acceleration of the vehicle and then the shots being fired. We don't know exactly what happened even before that, right? But listen to this guy. This Tim Walz guy. Can't find my glasses, Fred. I think somebody would have to grab a pair from me. Do I have them? Oh, here they are. They're hanging on my hoodie. I knew they had to be somewhere. Hi, Sue.
Well,
How
they
are
were
you?
close.
They were. I knew.
Yeah.
So, Walz, you put that one in there, right,
Yeah.
Ethan? Let's see here if I can find it, because there's a lot of audio in here. Here it is. So he just says this a few minutes ago. The thing about this that's interesting is they act like federal ICE agents are just a Gestapo, that they have no role in society whatsoever after millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions, I can count to 12 or to 20, you name the millions, crossed the border illegally. And many of them landed in Minneapolis, by the way. So this guy, he doesn't resign. He says, I'm not running again because politically he's a wreck right now. But listen to the rhetoric coming out of Minneapolis this afternoon.
This happened a couple of hours ago, and we're already pitting American against American. All of you saw a video in your eyes. We have a chaotic situation caused by the largest deployment in American history of federal agents into a community with no communication to locals. We had a chaotic situation where an individual is in their car, shot and killed. And so, look, I want to be very cautious here.
Okay, well, hang on. Before he gets cautious, he makes it seem like there's a woman that's just sitting in her SUV and ICE agents swing by and they just pop her in the head because she's not doing anything wrong.
That's exactly what he said.
That's what he said, right? And then he says, look, this happened 2 hours ago. Let's be responsible. He's essentially calling ICE jackbooted thugs. He has been for months, by the way. That's nothing new. So I can't even believe, I guess I can, because they feel like this is going to, and he's going to accuse, you're going to hear him accuse Trump of playing politics. And I'll tell you what Trump said here in a second. But Walz is unbelievable, this guy.
Donald Trump will make this about me. He will make this about politics. This is about public safety, and this is about normalcy. To Americans who are watching this, if you're in Portland or you're in L.A. or you're in Chicago or you're wherever they're coming next.
Okay. Wherever they're coming next. Don't you love that he says Portland first? That should stick out right there like a sore thumb.
Stand with us. Stand with us against this. This was so preventable, So unnecessary.
I agree, Governor. If you and Jacob Fry and Chuck Schumer and Dick Durbin and AOC and Bernie Sanders and the rest of your party would shut the hell up about thwarting the operations of federal law enforcement, maybe this wouldn't have happened.
And I don't know. I hope. Maybe we're at the McCarthy moment. Do you have no decency? Do you have no decency? We have someone dead in their car for no reason whatsoever. And I don't want to be right about this, but I said if they do this, they're going to create a chaotic situation where someone innocent's going to get killed. And they did it. And now we hear more political rhetoric. Enough. Enough is enough.
Okay, he's talking about enough political rhetoric? Are you kidding me? And then you have Jacob Fry, who is the Minneapolis mayor who speaks more in Somalian than he does in English.
What we do know is that a 37-year-old woman is dead and that she was shot by ICE. We've dreaded this moment since the early stages of this ICE presence in Minneapolis. Not only is this a concern that we've had internally, we've been talking about it. They are not here to cause safety in this city. What they are doing is not to provide safety in America. What they are doing is causing chaos and distrust. They're ripping families apart. They're sowing chaos on our streets.
Yeah, that's the same narrative that we had for months, and the American people aren't really buying into that. But listen, he gets pretty inflamed here with the F-bomb, et cetera.
To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite. People are being hurt. Families are being ripped apart. Long-term Minneapolis residents that have contributed so greatly to our city, to our culture, to our economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead. That's on you.
Well, no, it's not. I think it's on you, Mayor Fry and Tim Walz, because you're the ones that have told people in your community to ignore federal law enforcement, right? Yep. So who's being reckless here? And it's a terrible situation because I cannot sit here and tell you this is a 100% justifiable shooting. I don't have all the facts. I think, as I admitted here a couple of minutes ago, I've kind of vacillated a little bit back and forth, right? You can certainly I can see how someone can make a case seeing the video that it looks like it was not justified because she's in her car and it looks like he's shooting and he's not in danger. Well, that's just from one angle. From another angle, it looks like he was hit. Okay, so I don't know if he was hit or not. Then you have President Trump. Okay, now the difficulty is that there's statements from DHS right now and from President Trump that I just don't feel are accurate. I think that you could have done a better job here just saying this is a tragic situation. We had ICE that was trying to conduct an operation. This should have never happened, blah, blah, blah. I have no idea. But what's happening is you have people, and even if I saw someone tweet about this earlier. Even if you say that the driver was going at the ICE officer, which I think you can make a case for that if you see the video. You can also make a case for the fact that the officer might have been out of the way by the time the driver passed. And you have Chrissy Nome claiming that the woman was attacking them. I don't see that in the video. I don't see any attack. Now, here's what President Trump said, because he kind of goes down that path as well. He said, I've just viewed, this is a Truth Social post from a few minutes ago. I've just viewed the clip of the event which took place in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's a horrible thing to watch. The woman screaming was obviously a professional agitator. The woman driving the car was disorderly. If you hear the audio of the actual shooting itself, you'll hear someone in the background saying, what did you just do? And I think it's the person taking the video, right? So he says the woman driving the car was disorderly, obstructing and resisting, who then violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer, who seems to have shot her in self-defense. I don't think there was any running over of the ICE officer, okay? I'm just going to clarify that. Based on the clip, it's hard to believe he's alive. But he's recovering in the hospital. The situation is being studied in its entirety, but the reason these incidents are happening is because the radical left is threatening, assaulting, and targeting our law enforcement officers. Yeah, that is exactly right, and ICE agents on a daily basis. Now, Sue, you and I both went through this FBI simulator at different periods in the last 10 years, and I took this I can't remember if you took the same course that I did or if it was some different opportunity, but you had an opportunity to do it, right?
Yeah, and you do the shooting with the guns and everything.
So what I did, and it might have been similar, is you're up against a screen,
Yes.
and they run you through a variety of scenarios,
Yes.
mass shooting scenarios, different things that might have happened. An officer, for example, is approaching a door, knocks on the door, looking maybe for a bad guy. Kid comes to the to the door. Maybe is the kid a good guy or bad guy? You don't know. The kid pulls a gun, right?
Yep.
That's one of the scenarios. Not a little kid, but like a 15,
like a
16
teenager.
year old. Right. So what that does for you is, and in the aftermath of Mike Brown, there were a couple of television stations, including one I think in Phoenix, who ran through some exercises like this with reporters. But what Sue and I learned, I think you would agree with this, is that you have to make a snap decision.
Yes.
And if you look at this, you can see the tires spinning on this car. There was no doubt that there was acceleration, right?
Right.
And you can't clearly, from the videos that I've seen exactly where the vehicle is in proportion to the officer who was in the most danger, right? I haven't yet to see an angle that is maybe from behind him that could offer more perspective. My guess is that might be out there. There's ring cameras and stuff like that. So now there's a joint operation between the feds and local law enforcement. But I think what you're going to have this afternoon, Bill, is bracing for riots.
Yeah.
Because the way that they've inflamed this situation is getting out of control. This is all going to be about politics. You know exactly, I was telling Fred this earlier, some of the things that I heard Whoopi Goldberg say on The View today, because I watched some clips, were unbelievably stupid, which is pretty consistent. But I can't even imagine how unhinged that they will be tomorrow morning. Now, people are going to have to make a call on this, and you're going to see the videos, and everyone's going to have their view probably through their lens. If you think ICE is jackbooted thugs, you're going to see a murder here, right?
Yeah.
If you think the feds are actually trying to do something in these communities, remove illegal criminals, which I think is the main stated principle here, and if you also think that there are protesters that are consistently and constantly interfering with federal law enforcement. So that's unacceptable. You have protesters throwing rocks at cars and stuff like that this morning. Now, they hit the protesters with pepper spray, and it was chaos. But I don't think that things will go very well for Minneapolis, and I hope I'm wrong about that. But it doesn't look very good at this point because we have images that are coming in where, these crowds in the streets. And look, let's face it, we're only a couple hours from sunset, right? And we know when the sun sets, things get worse. Who was the woman? We don't know much about her.
There is nothing to indicate that this woman was the target of any law enforcement investigation or activity. This woman was in her car, and it appears then blocking the street because of the presence of federal law enforcement.
So just even take that, okay? Think through that for a second. I'm not saying that she deserved to be shot and killed, but you have someone who is parked in the middle of a street when federal agents are conducting an operation, and you think that's going to go well for you. At the very least, you're going to get arrested, right? That's why they were trying to open the car, get her out of the car. They were going to arrest her. Well, she decided to accelerate. Here's Paul Morrow's take on what he saw.
I got to tell you, from what I see, ICE gives them a lot of rope because they let them stand in front of the car. They sprayed them. They try to move them. So, that kind of stuff works, I guess, until it doesn't. But we really don't, as I said at the top, this is going to be a very fact-specific investigation.
And on Fry,
he's pandering. He's immature. He's in over his head. And that was an entirely unprofessional performance by a mayor. That is not the way to behave, not the way to comport yourself in a situation that remains murky. This is a point where you want to come out and be what Giuliani did, let's say, after 9/11, where your presence serves to calm everybody down, to have people feel like the adults are in charge.
Well, that's exactly the opposite of what's happening up in Minneapolis. We'll take a break. We got a lot to cover. We have Congressman Bob Onder coming up, Bill King from down in Houston, who is a former businessman and a lawyer, and we've had him on as a regular guest before. I have him scheduled to talk about Maduro, but I'm sure he's going to have some thoughts on Minneapolis. Jane will weigh in this afternoon as well, because we have the second gig for our police chief, who's going to make $100,000 at UMSL as a consultant. So we'll talk about that. Our friend Alex Rich is by for a visit in the next hour. We also have Phil Holloway from Fox set up to talk about the shooting in Minneapolis. Plus, of course, in the 5 o'clock hour, two things. Audio cut of the day. George Rosenthal was so amazing from CES last night in Las Vegas. It's round 2 tonight.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Watch out for a stall. It's eastbound 70 past First Capitol and it's blocking the right lane and the right shoulder. We also have a stall southbound 270 just before Olive. Looks like that one they managed to move off to the right shoulder. And there was debris westbound 6440 past Forest Park. Watch for that, kind of in the right lane. And we do have some volume. Southbound 55 right around Bates. Westbound 40 lines up at 270. And eastbound 70 a little bit slow there past the airport. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, celebrate the new year with our friends from Zero Res. Carpet, tiles, upholstery, hard surfaces, basically everything in your home can be Zero Resified. So it's time to call the cleaning pros at Zero Res. Bring in the new year with 3 rooms of carpet cleaned at just $119, plus a free hallway and 15% off regularly priced services when you mention 97.1 FM Talk. 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
Are you tired of feeling sick and tired? I'm Dr. Nick Barnes of Health from Within Family Chiropractic. Our simple 5-step approach aligns your health naturally. We correct spinal abnormalities to maximize nerve supply, focus on pure and simple nutrition, exercise and oxygen, mindset, and minimizing toxins in your body. Transform your health today with Health from Within, conveniently located on Manchester in Rock Hill, or online at healthfromwithinstl.com.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
License number E2014A.
Hey, it's good to see you.
You know, there's a certain way we do things around here, the Grasser way.
The Grasser way?
We don't cut corners and we don't take shortcuts. Not on the little stuff and not on the big stuff.
We do the big stuff.
That's right. Whole home generators that kick on the moment the grid gives up. Lights stay on, heat stays on, your family stays safe, so your house stays warm.
And your ice cream stays frozen.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
Hi, I'm Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, America's largest family law firm. During this time of year, difficult relationships sometimes become impossible. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. CordellCordell.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
The Mark Reardon Show is St. Louis Conservative.
Yeah, and I'm already behind schedule. Let's welcome in Congressman Bob Onder to talk about a variety of issues. Happy New Year, Bob. How are you?
Great. Happy New Year, Mark.
You are in Washington, right? You're not in the district right now.
That's right. We came back on Monday. On Tuesday, we went to the Trump Kennedy Center and heard President Trump talk to us about what's ahead for 2026.
Yeah. So what did you think of that? I watched quite a bit of it. He was doing, he likes to call it weaving, and he was weaving quite a bit. And I think my favorite part, this ended up being my audio cut of the day when he was talking about Melania not liking his dancing. But obviously the president was also trying to send a message to Republicans about the importance of the midterms and what needs to be done in this coming year legislatively.
Well, that's for sure. Yeah, it's not lost on us that it's extremely important that we maintain the Republican majority in the U.S. House in the midterms. Otherwise, and I think the president's right about this, I serve on the Judiciary Committee. I think I'll be listening to Jasmine Crockett and Jamie Raskin droning on about how Trump needs to be impeached. So, yes, the American people elected President Trump for a 4-year term, and we fully intend for him to have a 4-year term.
Well, there's a lot of stuff going on in the news cycle right now, so let me get your thoughts on a couple of things. And I don't know, have you had a chance to monitor what's going on in Minneapolis or see the video of this shooting today yet, Congressman?
Oh, I did not see today. I'm monitoring what's going on in Minnesota with the fraud, but no, I did not see anything about the shooting.
Well, that's going to be a big deal. You'll see what happened. There was an ICE agent. They were trying to conduct an operation. There was a woman that refused, orders to get out of her car, and she accelerated. And, depending on your view of the situation, she was either trying to hit the officer, he responded with gunfire, and she was killed. So the concern there is, amongst all of this other stuff that's going on in Minneapolis with the fraud, with the Somali community, that unfortunately the way that Jacob Frey, the mayor of Minneapolis, and Tim Walz, the goofball governor, have inflamed this situation, it would not surprise me at all if buildings burned in Minneapolis tonight, unfortunately, Bob, like they did here in Ferguson.
Yeah, no, this is really sad. I mean, to see the anti-law enforcement, sentiment being fomented by far too many, not all, but far too many Democrats. This default position that somehow ICE agents, that Border Patrol agents are jackbooted thugs and they need to be resisted at every turn. This kind of rhetoric has consequences, and what makes people think they can assault police officers? Look, I said this about Michael Brown in Ferguson back in 2015. What makes people think that they can assault police officers and things are going to go well for them? But no, I haven't seen any details on that. But I wish the Democrats, for once, would turn down the rhetoric.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, that's the problem.
They're not doing it.
When you hear this the rest of the afternoon and evening, you'll find that they are inflaming the rhetoric. And Jacob Frey in particular is saying, ICE agents get the F out, was one of the quotes from earlier today. On the Nicolas Maduro capture, your thoughts on that? That caught a lot of people maybe off guard on Saturday morning. The president even joked a little bit. Maybe it was today when Carolyn said during the briefing, we kept you kind of busy during the break, didn't we?
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, yes. I mean, it caught a lot of us by surprise. Now, President Trump gave Nicolas Maduro chances to back down from his, narco trafficking, from his close alliance with some of the worst actors in the world, the Chinese, the Russians, the Iranians, and even Hezbollah. But no, the way it turned out, an invasion to taking to custody an indicted narco trafficker. I did not see that coming. But I think we are a safer hemisphere because of it.
So what are your thoughts on, because this is very complicated in many different ways, geopolitically and otherwise, but on the oil issue and the tankers being seized right now, obviously the folks who have TDS and the folks who don't like President Trump are trying to make this all about oil at this point. I think there are very good reasons to secure the Western Hemisphere in this way. And let's face it, most of the world is celebrating the removal of this guy. Most importantly, the people who live in Venezuela and those here in this country who had to flee the country. But then when you start to focus on the oil, the narrative becomes, it's all about the oil, just like the Middle East.
Right. Well, of course, there are many sources of oil in the country, including in the world, including the United States, other than Venezuela. So certainly the fact that this, what had become under Nicolas Maduro a narco trafficking state, allied with China, allied with Iran, allied with Russia, the fact that that country also has more reserves of oil than any other nation in the world, that's significant. That's kind of a big big deal. But the Iranians putting drones that with a 2,000-kilometer range that could reach southern Florida in Venezuela. That's of concern too.
I would
Russian
say so.
and Cuban
Yeah.
military. Yeah, just a little thing. Russian and Cuban military advisors in Venezuela are of concern. And the fact that China already controls 91% of the very strategically important rare earth minerals in the world, and then being in our hemisphere, trying to control those being produced by Venezuela, that's of concern. So there were a lot of reasons. At the end of the day, I don't know that it was any one reason, but there's no question that Maduro was facilitating the biggest narco trafficking operation in the world, and really needed to be held accountable.
Yeah, absolutely.
In fact,
he's getting due process.
Maduro
He's getting his due process, right?
He's getting his day in court. Marco, I think a lot of people forget that he was indicted in the year 2000, and there was a $25 million reward for the capture of Nicolas Maduro. That was doubled to $50 million under Joe Biden. A year ago, Chuck Schumer was criticizing President Trump for not doing anything about Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela. Well, Donald Trump did something, and now Chuck Schumer said, whatever Trump does is bad. So I'm concerned about what comes next. We had an extensive briefing by the Secretary of State and others on that subject today. But I think Maduro being gone is definitely a positive.
What is there anything you can share from that meeting with the Secretary of State as far as what does happen next? Because that's obviously an important question.
Yeah. The Secretary of State, spoke of first of all stabilization, and then moving on to reconciliation and restoration, with ultimately the goal being free and fair elections, transition to power. But the feeling is that this is not it's not an Iraq type situation where we're dealing with a lot of guerrilla groups and so forth. We are dealing with a nation state over which we have a tremendous amount of leverage because of our control, for instance, over these oil shipments. I do not trust the vice president of Venezuela, Ms. Rodriguez, any farther than I can throw her. But at this point, the administration feels that we have enough leverage over her and over that regime that we can make sure the right things, happen moving forward. And first and foremost, ending the prosecution of political enemies, but also, beginning to restore something approaching a normal economy and a functioning democracy in that country.
Congressman Bob Onder, always great to have you on. One final question, just briefly. How are we going to avoid another government shutdown here in a few weeks? Any thoughts on that?
Well, yeah. So we will very likely in the next couple of days vote on on three more budget bills. There are 12 budget bills so far. We've passed 3 as part of the reopening of the government after the Schumer shutdown. We will be voting on, and I believe passing 3 more this week. The appropriations committees in the House have actually passed all 12. But I do have considerable fear, Mark, that the Democrats feel that shutdowns give them leverage, and somehow opposing Republicans and President Trump are somehow good for them politically. I hope saner heads prevail in the Democrat caucus. But
don't count on it. Don't count on it. That would be my prediction. Yeah. Well, Bob, again, Happy New Year. Thanks for jumping on here this afternoon, and we'll talk soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Eastbound 70, a little slow past the airport at this hour. Southbound 270, and this is slow pockets, but it's south of Dorset, pretty much down through Olive. And northbound is slowing right there at 64. That's just mainly moderate volume. 70 in pretty good shape, as you know, westbound. But westbound 64, that's a slow go. A little bit slow right there at Clayton Skinker. And then in pockets from McKnight out through 270. And then things open up. We've got southbound 270 slowing a little bit right at 55. At 55, some volume at Bates. Things look great, though, if you're headed into Illinois. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, let's talk about Michael's Baths here in St. Louis, and maybe you would like to get the new year off right with a little bathroom remodel. From sleek tub to shower conversions, they're really, really good at that, to full high-end bathroom remodels, and that includes everything from the painting to the electrical. They handle everything, and they're now offering a new, even higher-end wall option designed to bring like a custom spa-like look to your home. They do great work here in St. Louis. It's family-owned and operated. They have great products that you're probably familiar with, like Central and Moen, chosen for beauty and performance with lifetime warranties. So you're getting a company that has 30 years of experience in Michael's Baths, 5-star reviews, A+ rating with the BBB, VA recommended. Michael's Baths is awesome, and this is a great time to plan for spring installation. Visit michaelsbaths.com. The phone number, do us a favor, tell me you heard about it here on 97.1 FM Talk, 636-775-0800. They have financing, including 0% if you're approved, so keep that in mind. Michael's Baths at michaelsbaths.com.
Because we have lawyers in all 50 states, I see lots of lawyers' ads. Most seem to be bragging on results, but are they true or misleading? For example, in some cases, a firm may try a case even though the at-fault party has no lawyer, then brag in the ad about their results. My son Matt got one for nearly $50 million, but we never collected one dime. Some lawyers may say they got a result even though they were sitting second chair at a firm like mine, and even though they had little to do with it. Happens all the time. All that glitters is not gold. At Morgan & Morgan, our results are real. Visit forthepeople.com and go to settlements and verdicts to see for yourself what your case may be worth before you hire a law firm. Do your homework. Fact check. It's easy and too important not to. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
From the gateway city to the front lines of freedom. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
Well, I went a little too long with Congressman Onder, so I'm shifting some things around here. We do have Jane Dueker coming up in a few minutes. I want to talk to her about the new gig for St. Louis City Police Chief Robert Tracy. He's picking up, and we kind of knew this was coming and telegraphed it, but because the enhancement to his salary that was in place for the first couple of years of the contract was not going to be in place, he needed another $100,000, or I guess he was going to leave St. Louis, and it came from now I want to be careful here because it might not be coming from taxpayers. If you look at the UMSL news release, it might be donations, which would make it, I think, a little easier to stomach. Look, I think it's a perfectly legitimate reason you got someone with law enforcement to be hired as a professor or consultant at a university. I have no issue with that. The issue I have is that's a full-time job in and of itself.
Correct.
You're supposed to be the police chief of a major city in America, and I don't think another consulting gig on the side is something that you should really be interested in. Look, I could, Sue, you know this. You wouldn't have to be skilled in any way, shape, or form in accounting or numbers or anything. I'm pretty sure that we could take a look at some people over there at City Hall and say, can we figure out a way to pay the chief of police $100,000 more and cut these positions from people who aren't doing anything?
Probably.
How about Sarah Russell, for example? Oh, that's right. We already fired her ass. Maybe someone else in her department. So I don't mind. And by the way, if it takes $300,000 in a city like this to get a good police chief, well, that's what it takes, right? But this whole side gig thing not sitting well with me right now. But we'll get Jane's position. All right, this is really heating up in Minneapolis because if you're just joining us, there's chaos that has erupted after an ICE-involved shooting. There was a woman who was blocking the street. She was literally parked in the middle of the street. Sue, one thing that's interesting, I guess somebody picked up on the fact that the SUV involved had Missouri license plates,
yes.
right? So we'll probably hear more about that. depending on the video that you look at, it might look like a justifiable shooting by ICE. It might not look like it. I think we don't have enough information at this point, but we're going to have a bunch of people weigh in this afternoon, including Phil Holloway. Now, related to that, I think this is interesting. There's a guy that's actually been on Fox here this afternoon, Nick Sorter, who's one of these independent journalists, has a big following on the X, formerly Twitter. Well, remember when we were talking about Hilton Hotels the other day and how the hotel in Minneapolis was telling ICE agents and DHS workers that they were not welcome to stay at that hotel because they worked with ICE? I mean, think about that. That's all being framed around everything that's going on right now in Minneapolis. They didn't want ICE there. They were trying to fight them. You have a mayor that's talking about them being jackbooted thugs. You got a governor that's doing the same thing. And they're saying this is what they were worried about the whole time? No, this is what we were worried about the whole time. When you send people out there to protest the actions of federal agents, what do you think is going to happen? But let me circle on back to Hilton, because Hilton, the company, decided that it didn't want any part of that franchise in Minneapolis because they didn't want the Bud Light treatment. But Nick Sorter, this is what's interesting, he goes in hours after Hilton says, no, we've cut ties, we're not associated. And this is on Monday night. He tries to get a room.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
Good. Do you have any rooms for tonight?
You should, yeah.
Okay. Like how many? Could we get like 10?
10?
I know that might be.
The clerk is looking it up on the computer.
No.
No. What's the name?
It would be just Nick. I'll just put it under my personal. I don't know if you can use a government rate or not, but
Let's see. It depends because there's a lot of stuff going on right now.
You understand what the question was? Can you use the government rate? That's what he asked. And then the clerk says, well, there's a lot of stuff going on, and this is what he says after that.
Is it, what agency is it for? Using the government rate?
They'd be Department Homeland Security.
So we're not accepting people from immigration, ICE agents, DHS into our property. It's just our management ownership.
Okay, I thought that changed today. Was that?
I just talked to my the owner of the building, and he didn't say there has been any changes. So
really? Okay.
Yeah, so Hilton had put out a statement saying, we don't approve of this, we're disassociating, but the owner of the hotel clearly didn't make any changes.
Yeah, okay. It's just policy, that.
Yeah, I mean that's not your fault. Totally get that. So they actually said that was like, I mean, honestly, this is the most convenient location. So it's like, so they told you no, that there's no.
Yeah, no immigration.
Well, DHS isn't all.
Yeah.
Immigration. Okay, so even with the.
Yeah, keep that in mind too, right?
Yeah.
We got terrorist threats that we've thwarted.
Yeah.
We had a big one before Christmas. So DHS is not just ICE. And, that's a good point. But again, it's not the clerk's fault, right?
They said earlier, or they mentioned that there was a statement that they put out, saying that they accept everybody and.
I haven't been informed. I could call my owner right now if you want.
Yeah,
and ask him what's.
That'd probably be good. Just trying to figure it out. So because it's somebody said, I didn't know it was this location, but Ever Peak Hospitality, right?
I'm new here.
So you kind of feel sorry for the kid because he's just doing what he's told by the guy who owns the hotel. But that is unbelievable. Try to think of the flip side of the analogy in some way for that. If you had Republicans that were trying to keep Democrats out of a hotel.
Are you kidding me?
I know, right? And they're just discriminating based on which government department they worked at. Let's say that, can't use RFK Jr. because he came out today and did all these nutrition guidelines, which was pretty cool. But let's say you have someone in a position in a Democrat administration, Republican conservative-owned hotel says, no, we don't want you staying here. There would be a little backlash, I would say.
Nuts.
Now, the private hotel, I guess, if they want to discriminate that way, but there's consequences for that. And the other thing that was reported is that you could still, now maybe this is something that's just set up because it's set up anyway, originally this way, but if you went into that hotel yesterday, for example, this is what Nick said, with Laura Ingraham, and you tried to book a room, they were still asking you for your Hilton Rewards number. So does that tell you that they've disassociated themselves with Hilton or not? It might just be part of the protocol. I have no idea. Jane's coming up next. We're going to talk about the chief of police, Robert Tracy, and his new side gig.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, if you're leaving the office and headed out on southbound 55, looks like the usual volume there, south of Arsenal, down through Bates. That's in the construction zone. Then it's a little bit slow headed for Herculaneum as well. Now, southbound 270 is moderate volume, slowing at the 70 area, and then it's slowing again between Dorset. Now, this is just moderate volume, but it is to just south of Manchester. Now, westbound 64, slow pockets approaching Hampton, out through 270. It's also slowing at Prospect. 70 westbound is good out of downtown, but eastbound is slow past the airport. No delays headed into Illinois on the Poplar Street Bridge. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Let's show our appreciation for local heroes. Mark Cox here. Nominate a first responder and their department could get lunch from Grill Master Tony's. I'll personally deliver it. Share their story at 971talk.com. Nominate them today.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
When you're learning something new, experience matters. At Lifestyles Unlimited, we've spent over 30 years teaching people how real estate investing works and how to build income with a clear, step-by-step strategy. Our program is designed to help you learn what to do, why it works, and how to take action at your own pace. Join today for just $297, a 60% savings off the regular price. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
Annie Fry here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They are the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Mark Reardon, Sue Thomas. This is the Mark Reardon Show.
I think this week is going by pretty quickly, Sue. Would you weigh in on that opinion?
I would agree.
Okay, because it's already Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
I like that.
It's pretty good.
We'll have a roundtable on Friday, and we'll have some news to share. That's all I'll say at this point as we start the roundtable on Friday. I would say it's significant. You may want to tune in. You'd want to tune in anyway. Jane will be on the panel, Steve Butts, and Greg Keller, who always brings not only his hair into the room, but his strong opinion. Speaking of Jane, she's on with me right now because I want to get her thoughts on Robert Tracy, the chief of police, who's got a new gig at UMSL. Hi, Jane. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys. I've missed you.
I know. We've missed you, too. We can't wait to get together here for Friday's roundtable. Not that there's going to be a lack of stuff to talk about. Look, on the Tracy stuff, Jacob Kern was nice enough to share his story with me this morning from the Business Journal, because when the story broke yesterday that he was going to go to UMSL, the numbers weren't out there, and they were making us do freedom of information requests at UMSL, which is ridiculous. But I guess it came out that the deal is for $100,000 a year and runs through December 31st, 2028. Now, Jane, explain to the audience, because a lot of people don't know what happened here, how the chief was hired in the first place and how that extra $100,000 was kind of put into the pot to give him the gig in the first place, right?
Yes, and that was then. It was provided by the Police Foundation, which is a nonprofit that raises money to help, the police departments of St. Louis City and County with, oftentimes with equipment, things like that. But they decided that after the national search that they would offer money to make it more competitive so that they could get a chief.
Right. So that expired, and then that $100,000 goes away. So then he's essentially taken a $100,000 pay cut, which he doesn't want to do. So to stay here, and we were talking about this in December, we knew something was bubbling. They announced that UMSL is going to put him in as a consulting role. And here's what I said earlier. If you look at this, I think it's smart to hire someone with experience at a university to teach classes and stuff like that. The issue I have is he's still the police chief of the city of St. Louis, and that should be his primary job.
Well, and I do think that's the challenge here. One, I think there's going to be two challenges. One challenge is going to be, at some point, somebody's going to say, you have to tell us who's paying this. Because
Right.
I mean, the university is agreeing that, they're getting money for this. So,
not taxpayer money, because here's what Jacob's story says. The deal is for $100,000. It added that the funds are contingent on availability from external gifts or grants, but didn't specify a source.
Correct. And I think people are going to want to know who's paying it. And so I do think that issue will remain outstanding, at least before you knew the police foundation was paying for it. So I think people are going to rightfully ask who's paying this guy's salary.
Justifiable. We should know that. But if he's not the chief of police and he's retired and UMSL wants to hire him I don't care about that.
Absolutely.
Right.
Nobody cares about that. And, but the bottom line is, look, again, this region has to decide whether they want their important public servants to have other jobs or not. Because, frankly, there's nothing in the law that prevents this. And so it's a policy decision whether people want to say, in the voters of St. Louis County resoundingly said we want our county executive to be full-time, and he just refuses to do it. But at least the people have spoken. And I think, people are going to talk about the 32 hours a week?
Yeah, so the contract limits him to 32 hours a week, but if he's supposed to be working 40, and look, the chief of police is not a 40-hour-a-week job, right? That's a 50, 60-hour-a-week job.
It shouldn't be.
Right, exactly.
At least.
So,
it's 24/7.
Yes, it is. So I don't know, and you're not getting good answers, of course, from the flack over there at the police department. The other question is, and this is the one that really never gets answered, is this guy that good that we want to keep him as police chief anyway? I mean, I guess that deal has been done, but it's not like he's the only guy that can run the police in the city of St. Louis. There's other qualified people.
And the other thing I'm trying to remember, and I'd have to look back, but, I mean, since when do police chiefs get contracts?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't remember police chiefs having contracts before this guy. Like, why do you get a contract? I mean, there's a statute out there that says, what needs to be required before you can get rid of a chief.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know why there's a contract.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Why it has to be locked down. And does that mean that if they decide they want to get rid of him in a year, do they have to pay off the contract like you do a football coach?
That's a really good question.
I don't know.
I never thought of that before. So that's because and I have to check with Jeff Rainford on that, but you're saying the previous chiefs never had contracts like this.
I don't remember that.
Okay.
I really don't. And why? And I guess you don't need a contract if you're not, looking to do a unique arrangement. I don't know. I mean, I would be curious as to why contracts are the way to go.
This is.
I mean,
I'm reading down here in the story to see if there's anything that indicates that, but that is a fascinating aspect of that. All right, well, we're going to have more to say on that, and we'll talk about it on Friday, but I do find it interesting, and obviously we knew that it was going to happen or something was going to happen like this. It was ridiculous for UMSL to not give the salary yesterday, and they were making reporters, jump through hoops just to get that. Hey, on a political note, there was a tweet that went out from Andy Banker from Fox. I retweeted this, that Jake Zimmerman, who is the St. Louis County assessor, is going to make an announcement tomorrow. He has been rumored to possibly get in the race for St. Louis County executive. What are you hearing? Is he going to get in or stay out? I think it would be best if the ginger stays out, but your thoughts on this, Jane?
I mean, look, I love Jake. I mean, I actually hired him to work for me when I worked in the governor's office. I think he's really smart. But, I mean, I just think Brian's momentum. I mean, he's
talking about Senator Brian Williams, who's kind of the favorite right now, maybe.
Yeah, because he got fire, he got police, he's getting, labor, he's getting all the groups, the business community, I don't know, I guess put it this way, I don't know really anybody who is not supporting Brian Williams. So I think it's a tough road. I mean, Jake ran for county executive the last time he ran. He came in third in the Democratic primary.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think his fortunes got better. I don't think people are happier with their tax bills. I think it's difficult to be the tax man. I really do, because who's going to say, oh, you're doing a great job,
Well, why would you have to make a big announcement that you're not going to run? Why can't you say, no, I'm not running, though? That's what seems a little weird.
But it also seems weird, though, that would you make an announcement? I'm going to announce that I'm going to announce?
No, you would just announce.
That's weird, too.
It all gets confusing.
You would just announce.
That's right.
It does. Politics is crazy.
It is crazy. Hey, have you seen, all right, so you represent the cops. You're a Democrat. There seems to be two different views of what happened in Minneapolis. Have you seen the video or any videos of this shooting up there?
I haven't.
Okay,
and
all right.
Is it bad?
Well, I mean, I don't know, Jane. What's interesting here is that, from a couple hours ago, my view was this is not a justifiable shooting. I saw something from a different angle, and I changed my mind. Then I saw something from a slow motion angle, and I thought, well, there's still some questions. I can't definitively say because I don't think we have enough information, even with the videos that are out there. What I do know is Minneapolis is on edge. It would not surprise me if there's riots and fires there tonight, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I think that is, for me, the biggest worry is what this is going to cause. And now, I mean, didn't you have the mayor come out and, say, get out of my city, and it's all escalating? And, I mean...
All right, here's what he said.
To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite.
Yeah, he was fired up, but if you look at the video, it's going to be studied and restudied, and you're going to see different angles. And depending on your political position, unfortunately, that's how people are going to come in on this one, I think.
Well, and that's a shame because that's sort of, as we know, that happened with, police involved shootings, Michael Brown, that Galleria shooting. I mean, it's sad that it comes to that you can't just look at it. And, the bottom line is if it's a close call, the tie goes to law enforcement.
Yeah, I think
it just does.
Chief Fitch says, he's talked about this before. He says awful but lawful. And I texted him earlier. He couldn't come on this afternoon. This is former St. Louis County Police Chief Tim Fitch. He goes, I watched it multiple times with another retired officer. She clearly drove toward the officer in front of her vehicle and he fired. From his perspective, he would articulate he thought she was going to run him down, but her vehicle ended up veering around him to his left as he moved out of the way to his right. Either way, it's going to be a blank show up there, and I think that kind of sums it up. So we're going to talk about it on Friday. We'll have a little announcement, as you know, as well. So I'll see you Friday afternoon.
You got it.
All right, take care, Jane.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
If you are leaving downtown, westbound 70, a little moderate volume at Jennings Station Road and at the airport. Eastbound slowing at the airport as well. Then things open up. Now, southbound 270, slow pockets from Page down through Doherty Ferry, slowing again right at Gravois. Westbound 64, now that's lined up. Now, this is mainly moderate volume, but it's in pockets approaching Hampton all the way out through 270. To the west of there, it's slow. Highway N out through the 70 split. And 55 is pretty slow in the construction zone where those lanes narrow, from Arsenal especially down through Bates. Then things open up and look better, but they are a little slow north of Herculaneum as well. No delays headed into Illinois on the bridges downtown. Poplar looks great, and no delays on the approach to it. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
My best friend Jenny came over for coffee, said it's cold enough in here to play hockey. Well, my furnace broken, it's already late. Call Jerry Kelly because they're open till 8. JerryKelly.com. They're fast and they're good and they got it going on. Jerry Kelly.
Well, I know I've asked this question of Susan L. Ward, who's a great family practice attorney here in St. Louis before. When do you get the most calls? At what time of the year? And it's this time of the year, right after the holidays. People kind of make some decisions perhaps before the holidays on the end of a marriage, and then they call Susan. And she would always tell you, call right away. Don't put off that call. They can help you. They can protect you and make sure you're not making mistakes that could come back to haunt you. But she's got a beautiful new office they moved into in De Pere last May. They have a ton of experience. She's got a great team around her. And if you need help in any area related to family law, whether that's related to children's issues, domestic partnerships, any kind of post-divorce issues, they can handle it at the law offices of Susan L. Ward, LLC. I love the fact that she's rated AV preeminent. That's a big deal because it comes from a peer rating group called Martindale-Hubbell, and it shows that an attorney has reached the height of professional excellence. One great thing about Susan is she has the distinction of being the youngest family law attorney to be awarded that AV rating. The website has everything you need to know. It's stlfamilylaw.com. Susan L. Ward.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness One for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness One. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
St. Louis, laugh it up with Jimmy Fallon live at the Factory on January 24th. From national radio to sold-out comedy clubs, Jimmy delivers fast, fearless stand-up that hits home.
The only ones raising tough kids anymore. The redneck babies are going to take on ISIS. The hipster babies are going to battle the evil forces of gluten. You know what I'm saying?
Grab your friends and get ready for a night of laughs. One show, one night only. Don't miss Jimmy Fallon January 24th at the Factory. Get your tickets now at thefactorystl.com. That's thefactorystl.com.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. If you need to sell your home to buy a new one, it's never been more important to have an experienced negotiator that you can trust. You need my friends Mark and Neil Gelman on your side. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
When it comes to affordable term life insurance, everyone's whistling the Big Lou tune. If you're over 50, maybe a bit porky, or have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost about $200 a month. Even if you're not in perfect health, call Big Lou, because he specializes in finding big chunks of affordable term life insurance for just about everyone. Don't let diabetes or other health glitches keep you from owning $500,000 to $1 million or more of term life insurance. For affordable term life insurance, call Big Lou. Don't hesitate. Call 800-700-6898, 800-700-6898, or visit biglou.com.
Call Big Lou, don't hesitate. 800-700-6898. Call Big Lou, don't hesitate. 800-700-6898. Visit biglou.com.
Phil Holloway, Fox News contributor, is going to join us at 4:45 with his update on the Minneapolis ICE shooting. We have Sue's News on a Wednesday coming up as well.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
Anger and confrontations in Minneapolis. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. After a woman was shot and killed as an immigration enforcement agent opened fire during what federal officials say was an attack with her vehicle on officers. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem calls it an act of domestic terrorism.
An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him.
President Trump echoing that after watching a video of the incident. But Minneapolis officials say the woman was driving away from officers.
What I can tell you is the narrative that this was just done in self-defense is a garbage narrative. That is not true.
Mayor Jacob Fry accusing ICE of sowing chaos and calling on agents to get out of the city. Fox's Mike Tobin in Minneapolis.
Since January of 2025, there have been 100 vehicular attacks while the agents are responding to different scenes and conducting their operations. Having done ride-alongs with the agents, I can tell you that the vehicular aggression is pretty frequent, and the feeling of the agents is it was just a matter of time before someone got hurt.
Minnesota's Democratic Governor Tim Walz urging protesters to remain peaceful while also criticizing what he calls propaganda. President Trump is calling for a $1.5 trillion defense budget, up from $1 trillion, just posting that it would allow the U.S. to build a dream military for safety and security. This as the White House faces questions about foreign policy after last weekend's military capture of Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro.
All options are always on the table for President Trump as he examines what's in the best interests of the United States. But I will just say that the president's first option always has been diplomacy.
White House spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt says it's premature to talk about elections in Venezuela. She also says the U.S. made a deal with interim Venezuelan authorities to sell Venezuelan oil. America is listening to Fox News.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks Vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
All about sunshine going through our Wednesday afternoon. It's a nice 61 degrees, a little cooler than yesterday. Tonight, the clouds take over, though all is dry. No problems for evening plans. 45 Thursday, windy and periods of rain, all rain. 62, rain ends by about midnight on Thursday night. We will be turning colder for the weekend. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Fred, is it my imagination, or is it every time I look at the monitor, more people are gathering in Minneapolis in the aftermath of this shooting?
Yeah, it's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, the protests are, you have a bunch of people walking. I don't know the Minneapolis area, but they're probably not too far from where this ICE shooting took place this morning, and the crowd has continued to build. It's peaceful right now. They do look like they're blocking some traffic, but in the aftermath of this, and if you're not caught up, it was a situation where ICE was being blocked from an operation. There was a woman that was with Missouri license plates in an SUV that was in the middle of the street refusing to move. The officers approached the vehicle. They tried to open the vehicle to get her out. She accelerated. The officer that was at the front of the vehicle, and Sue, you pointed this out because I showed you the video. If you look at it at first, you don't see the officer who does the shooting because he's coming from the front of the vehicle, and he, according to DHS and the administration, felt like his life was in jeopardy when she accelerated. He fired 3 times, and she was killed. But in the aftermath of this, you have Jacob Fry, the mayor of Minneapolis, and Tim Walz, the goofball governor of Minneapolis, or Minnesota rather, trying to make things even worse, inflaming the situation. We're going to keep you posted on all of that. We'll have Phil Holloway weigh in. I know he'll have some strong opinions at 4:45. Wednesday afternoon is when we visit with our friend Alex Rich, who's with us this afternoon. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Now, we have to hear your story because you shared some of the travel stories with us previously.
Yeah.
Alex went to the University of Indiana. You were an athlete there. You played baseball, but your Hoosiers are in the CFP, and you went to the damn Rose Bowl last week, didn't
How
you?
about it? Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I got in because I called my buddy that snuck me in Indy, and he came out and
Stop it.
No, of course not. Are you kidding me? That guy still wants my money.
I know. If you missed that story, Alex kind of snuck into the game
Yeah, to
in
the Big Ten
Indianapolis,
championship game.
right, which we give you credit
Accidentally, I guess.
for. Yes.
Yeah.
It was a good story, though.
It was a good story. But the Rose Bowl, how about these Hoosiers, huh? This is...
Dude, what was that like? It wasn't, I mean, it was a blowout.
Dude, it was a blowout. It was... I don't think there's a single person in the entire world that would have predicted that.
No way.
That outcome
Not against Alabama.
You know, what we beat them by 32 points or something.
At
It was just
what point-
ridiculous.
Total
man.
domination.
It was
At
just
what
ridiculous.
point did you realize I don't have to be worried?
You know, it's funny. I was maybe nervous for the first 5 minutes, but for probably about the first 5 minutes of the game. But then you could kind of see
Sometimes you
that
can
IU was
tell.
dominating.
Yeah.
IU just the vibe in the you could tell, Mark. Sometimes the vibe in the stadium, it just feels that way. It feels like you can get this sense from Alabama fans that they were feeling like a little bit more nervous than we were. It was just the momentum in the stadium the entire time. First of all, I don't know what it looked like on TV, but it had to have been like 70% IU fans there, to be honest.
It was hard to tell, and this is why, because both teams had the red colors, so it was a little bit difficult to tell that.
Yeah, and it all came up because I was back and forth. I'm like, should I go? Should I not go? It's L.A. I mean, it's like, it's not just a quick trip, really, unless you're me. Because I decided...
What'd you do?
I decided, New Year's Eve came around. The game was New Year's Day, and my good buddy Vic calls me. Victor Oladipo calls me up. He says, I know it's late, man, but if you get a flight out there, I got a ticket for you. So We were first row on the 50-yard line.
No. Were you really?
I got
so I was going to ask you.
New Year's Eve.
All your pictures were right down on the field,
dude.
so that makes sense.
New Year's Eve, I was like, I'm booking the flight. There was a flight out at 5 a.m. the next morning, direct to Burbank, California. I landed at 10:30.
But I thought you stopped in Vegas because I was texting you.
Yeah, my bad. Nonstop. Who am I? What,
liar.
Kidding me? Yeah, I stopped in Vegas. I thought, maybe I'll put a little something in the slot in honor of Mark Reardon.
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
Smart. Wise.
Ended up getting to Burbank at like 10:45 in the morning. The game was at 1 that day, so I took
a little tight.
Took an Uber over to the house where some of the buddies were at, and then we had a party bus that dropped us off at the Rose Bowl Stadium. And if you've never been to Rose Bowl Stadium, it's an absolutely terrible stadium. It's cool because it's the vibe of like you're at the Rose Bowl.
Old.
Dude, it's in like the middle of a golf course.
Yeah.
It had been raining all morning. It was muddy everywhere. Now, luckily the rain stopped. But I got there. I had a few beers before the pregame and walked into the stadium, and man, it was an experience, dude. It was awesome.
Well, congratulations on the victory. Now you have made a decision to not attend the semifinal.
It was a
right?
tough decision. It was a tough decision because, Peach Bowl, they win this, they're in the national championship. I'm ready to go, but that is the reason I think I'm electing not to because, God forbid I go down there, spend the money, they lose. Well, I went and saw them lose. If they win, I'm already planning on going to the national championship game anyway. Who knows what tickets are going to be? So I'm saving the cash for the big game. But yeah, it was a tough decision to not go to this one.
Do you already have a flight to Miami?
I got the flight booked.
Yeah, because I know
already.
Tom Ackerman has a flight to Miami.
Oh yeah,
too.
Tom
He's
and
an
I.
IU guy.
Tom and I got the flights booked. We're ready to go.
Who did you sit with at the Rose Bowl?
Well, I sat with Vic for
Okay.
a good amount of the time. He had to step away for a minute because who did he go sit with? Who do you think he went and sat
my
with?
gosh, I
He's
have
been
no
making the headlines lately.
Who?
As a big donor for the Indiana Hoosiers. Mark Cuban. Mark
So
Cuban.
Vic, just to be clear,
He's
Vic
buddies.
Oladipo was Alex's BFF. He was the number 2 overall pick in the NBA draft, 15 years ago, whenever that was.
Yeah.
He's playing in the NBA. Right now, he's not actively playing in the NBA.
Right, he's with the Milwaukee Bucks, G League team, but working his way back. But yeah, he's buddies with Mark Cuban, so he went and sat with Cubes for a little bit. I thought you couldn't bring me up there. Let me pitch him an
come
idea
on,
or
man.
something. So
that's funny.
But man,
though.
it was awesome, and yeah, I think it's just like a whole surreal experience, man. Like this is literally at the start of this season. We started this season with the most losses ever in the history of college football.
Wow.
Indiana was the losingest program in college football history.
It's amazing.
And now look at it. It's fun.
Well, it's a
honestly.
great story. And look, what I've said, and you got a lot of people that are complaining about NIL, and the right now the landscape is crazy. You got kids that are signing with a school one day and then changing their mind like 6 hours later. You got kids from Mizzou coming in and going out. It's that way at every university. It's going to get crazier after the final on the 19th.
Right.
Certainly, some more changes will be made. But the one thing that I've said, Alex, and I think you might agree with this. Before all this NIL stuff, and I'm not a fan of a lot of it, I get it. But before this, there's not a chance in hell that the University of Indiana or the University of Missouri or schools like that would be anywhere near competing for the CFP.
Yeah,
with 12 teams.
I think the blue bloods, they say. I think that doesn't matter anymore. Like I think we've talked about this before in regards to basketball, and specifically basketball for Indiana. It doesn't. Tradition almost doesn't matter at all anymore. Like Alabama's kind of like they've done their thing. Like they were great when NIL wasn't a thing, but now they've passed the torch to anybody else that has a school with alumni that got deep pockets.
Like Texas A&M.
Yeah, I mean, it. And honestly, it sounds crazy, but it is almost. It's not a level playing field because certain people have different money, but everybody probably has some very wealthy alumni. So
Sure.
it kind of is almost a more level playing field than it used to be.
It does give the opportunity for teams, and I would say this is true in basketball as well, where you have teams that ordinarily might not be able to compete for the top tier, and they can. If they get – look, if you don't have Mendoza, let's face it, you got a great team with great players, but if you don't have a great quarterback leading that team, you're not there.
Yeah, and what's awesome is I read this today. I didn't know all this. Signetti is like a quarterback genius. He discovered, I think, like Russell Wilson. There was a couple other.
Wow.
He was Phillip Rivers' quarterback coach at NC State. Like, his list goes on and on when it comes to quarterbacks. So the fact that because Mendoza was at Cal last year.
Right.
So the fact that he got Mendoza to come over to IU, Lord knows what he said to him, or the amount of money that he put in front of him. But it really is it's the greatest thing. Now you hear him talk, dude. He's a dork. He's a nerd. Like, everybody
Drinks that
admits
way
it,
too,
but
though.
He's pretty intense.
He's intense, but man, like, does he not remind you a lot of like Tom Brady? He's had that comparison a lot where, like, the dude's very smart. He was talking about, and I don't know football, but he's talking about his progressions of, like, how he has his looks and, like, you know, the first person, second person, third person he's going to go to, and so on if those people aren't open.
All
and
the
he's
schemes
like,
and everything, yeah.
And it's like the amount, the quickness that he has to go through it in his head, and he's talking through it. It shows that, like, to be a very good quarterback at a high level, you do have to be intelligent for sure.
I heard that the quarterback's coach for IU based a lot of the stuff that he told, the current quarterback on things that Chase Daniels had learned when he was in the NFL.
Oh, probably so.
Really?
And playing with, I think, Rivers as well.
Yeah, I think that they're all interconnected. And the whole coaching, did you look into that at all? Where, Signetti, he was at Alabama with all of these guys have coached
there's connections,
together.
right, yeah.
And the tree is insane. Like Dan Lanning, he was on the Saban staff. So these guys, if you've watched some of the press conferences leading up to the game this Friday for the Peach Bowl, it's fun because they're going back and forth. Like, Signetti's like nails, dude. The guy is as serious as it gets, but if you get a chuckle out of him, it gets people going.
Well, that's
what
what they're at the end of the game. Remember, Fred? They said they caught him smiling. They're, oh my God, we got to catch that.
Well, dude, he said he hopped on the he did, and his big thing. It's been big all year. The only thing he ever gets excited and says is "Go IU." He just says "Go IU," and our big cheer is the Hoosiers. And at the end of that game, after they gave him the Rose Bowl trophy, he grabbed the mic. I think it was like Chris Fowler. He grabbed the mic from him and he goes, "Hey, I just got one thing to say." And he did the whole Hoosiers, and the place went nuts. But it's great, man. And I think you can really see it. I know I'm biased, but it just feels like the Indiana Hoosiers are America's team right now.
I think so too.
And
because we're sick of Alabama and all these other schools winning it all the time, right?
And it seems a little magical to me. It's storybook, and like he said, once it's all said and done, it'll be a hell of a movie.
All right, so you got the Fiesta Bowl tomorrow. That's Miami against Ole Miss.
And I'll tell you that I'd like to see Ole Miss because I don't want to play a home game against Miami.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah,
they play.
I didn't think about that. I know. Hard Rock Stadium, right?
It would be like the first ever national championship game at a home stadium.
Peach Bowl, Indiana and Oregon on Friday night. Alex, hang out. We're going to do Sue's News. By the way, Ethan just texted me from his desk in the other room saying, I'm not sick of Alabama winning because he's a Tide fan. We're coming back with Sue on a Wednesday.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, on the roads, we do have some slowdowns out there. One of them is southbound 55. South of Arsenal, down through Bates in the construction zone. Now, south of there, it's okay. It really isn't too bad. Now, we've got some volume on southbound 170, headed for 40. Westbound 6440 lines up Kings Highway out through McCausland. A little bit slow at 270. And then west of Winghaven out through 70. But that's just moderate volume. 70 westbound, slow on either side of Lindbergh now, and then it opens up, slows again at Wentzville. Southbound 270, it's moderate volume south of Page. Now, this is in pockets, but it goes down through Gravois. If you're headed into Illinois, really no problems on the bridges. This report brought to you by Point with an E Pest Control. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Tired of mice? Point Pest Control finds their entry points, eliminates the infestation, and seals them out for good with our exclusion services. Mention Annie to get 10% off on top of any other special. Call 636-798-0023. Visit Point with an E, pointpestcontrol.com.
Look, I'm watching video right now. We've been talking about the shooting in Minneapolis, and you have some official vehicles that are in the middle of protesters, and the protesters are just pummeling them with snowballs and other things. And you just have to think that it's going to get worse and somebody else is going to get hurt, unfortunately. So it's a mess. We'll keep you posted on that. Phil Holloway will weigh in at 4:45. Let's talk about Game Day Men's Health, which Matt Lawrence has a great team out in Chesterfield. And, medical weight loss is a big deal right now. You've heard a lot about it. If you would like to explore, and they can offer this to men and women at Game Day Men's Health, a safe, convenient place to explore medical weight loss, Game Day Men's Health is absolutely the location. They have expert guidance of board-certified medical professionals. Matt Lawrence, his team out there in Chesterfield, they have their own pharmacy now, and that's a big deal. It's an FDA-approved pharmacy that offers you really great prices from a team out there at Game Day that's going to take great care of you. They're still offering you a free testosterone and PSA test just for coming in. You make an appointment. It's an hour in and an hour out. They're in O'Fallon, Missouri, and a great location that I mentioned in Chesterfield, GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw. When we meet our clients for the first time, they have built up a lifetime of savings. Their question is, what can we do with this money so we can live comfortably the rest of our lives? First, we develop a strategy to protect your nest egg from any market losses. Then, we build your own personalized structured income plan that will generate you an income the rest of your life. We put you in control of your money.
You've earned it, and it's our job to make sure you enjoy it. Let our team show you how you can have the retirement of your dreams. Call us now at 314-993-9494 for a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review. You will also get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. We've been helping retirees and pre-retirees retire with confidence for 40 years. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Did you know replacing old vinyl windows with more vinyl windows might not be the best choice? Hi, it's Kim, and I'm here to tell you about Infinity from Marvin Windows, because these fiberglass windows, they're energy efficient, they're beautiful, and they're custom built to fit your home perfectly. The team at Lakeside Renovation and Design just makes the process so easy. I love the fact that they even offer a lifetime workmanship warranty. Look, if you're tired of drafts, high energy bills, or maybe hard to open windows, now's the time to upgrade. Visit windowsbylakeside.com to schedule your free consultation today.
Are you looking for a podcast about pro football that doesn't put you to sleep with an avalanche of analytics or insult your fandom with brainless hot takes? Well, hi. I'm Dan Hansis.
And I'm Mark Sessler.
Oh, hi, Mark. And we're the hosts of Heed the Call, the NFL podcast you've been waiting your whole life for.
Heed the Call covers every game, every storyline, everything that matters, and we do it all with a touch of mirth.
Football is fun. Why shouldn't your football podcast be the same?
Follow and listen to Heed the Call NFL podcast wherever you get your podcast.
This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
There was a 37-year-old white woman from maybe Missouri, because she was in a car that had Missouri plates that was killed by an ICE officer in Minneapolis a few hours ago. That's a big story still developing, and our friend Phil Holloway is a Fox News contributor. He's going to join us in about 20 minutes, right around 4:40, 4:45. But we have to do this. Alex Rich is with us. Ethan, Fred, we're all in here ready for a Tuesday edition of Sue's News, if I can press the right button.
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you. I didn't even...
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
Well, on this day in history, 113 years ago, okay, so it's 1913, when William M. Burton received a patent for his method of manufacturing what they called the magic moving potion we now call gasoline. Gasoline is 113 years old today. Well, at least that's when the patent was done.
The magic moving potion?
Magic moving potion.
Seems like it'd be older, no?
Doesn't it?
I would think so. I would have guessed older.
So the patent itself is when he got it. But Standard Oil is who bought that particular method. And it went from there.
I think they did okay with that business deal, don't you?
Not too shabby. Not too bad.
Are you watching, Alex, are you watching Landman?
Oh, it's great.
You know what? I love it. I
My
like it
wife
better than
gives me
Yellowstone.
trouble because she's like, every time you're watching it, it's just phone calls and hot chicks on the screen. I'm like, well, I mean, I guess that's why people like it.
Well, it's probably accurate. Well, they did a blog. Okay, they collected a list of 10 hilariously wrong predictions from the 1950s for what would be happening this time in history in 2026.
Okay.
So they go to the 50s and they look back at what people were predicting. Here's what's going to happen in 2026. I won't do all of them, but the first one is jetpacks were supposed to be everywhere. Forget flying cars. Some designers thought jetpacks would be as ordinary as bicycles. So you would just walk out, and instead of getting on your bike, hit your jetpack and
I understand that because I made reference to this yesterday. I mean, if you were watching the Jetsons in the 70s, we talked about stuff like that. Like in the future, we'll probably be able to do stuff.
Yes.
I will say, it is a little surprising that we don't have some sort of jetpack that can we could fly around the neighborhood at least or something.
I think we're getting closer.
I wonder if we are. It's just, I don't know. It doesn't seem that, but every time you watch a video, it's like some guy blasting off and they think, is that safe? I don't know. There's somewhere in the middle is the answer.
We're going to highlight some of this technology again in an hour. George Rosenthal from ThrottleNet is at CES yesterday. He was describing some of this technology that's just kind of mind-blowing. And he talked about this little unit. He sent us some pictures. Fred and I got to see this little flying aircraft that can move in. And that's
unit, as close.
That's supposed to be for emergency situations, right?
Yeah.
To get in even faster than an ambulance or a helicopter or stuff like that.
Exactly. If somebody was hurt, you could take that thing in.
Right.
They also thought the moon would have subdivisions because, we landed on the moon and they're like, clearly we're going to move there. 1950s thinkers assumed the moon would have developed residential neighborhoods and vacation domes. So that's how people would make it. And this one is so bizarre to me. They thought that women would tower over men. A columnist wrote that women were expected to reach an average height of 6 feet tall thanks to improved nutrition and medical science.
Is that not true? I wouldn't know.
That's a good point.
To me, everybody's just skyrocketed,
And I don't know, why would that just happen to women? And these super women would dominate the workforce. Well, guess what? That did not happen.
We're still waiting. There's still time.
Uh-huh. So it's just stuff like that. And they thought machines would give us a 3-day weekend. Later, they said about computers and the internet, now AI, but the dream may still be alive. So they think that if a computer or AI would do enough of your work, you could then take a day off.
Look, some of these pictures and the videos that George has shared of these robots at CES, we're very close to,
I'm telling you.
to this happening.
It's bizarre.
Is there anybody that can do the Mark Reardon show by chance?
Yeah, that's
instead of Mark?
If I can sit at home and someone else can do it, I'm game.
Okay.
Oh, yeah?
No, I'd be bored. I'd be bored. It's the only thing I really enjoyed doing is yapping on the radio, so I'd be too bored.
I understand that. Okay, I do have some of the craziest stuff from Vegas and CES yesterday. And we do have George coming up. When is that, Mark?
5:35.
Okay, so he'll have more. But here's some stuff that I pulled out. Lollipops that play music. Now, the brand is called Lollipop Star. Each flavor plays a different song using bone conduction technology. So the music plays inside your head. Inside your head.
That's weird.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
Now, you can only hear it when you bite down.
That's even weirder.
And it's they'll cost $9 each.
Wow.
But what's the point?
That you can do it yourself, or that the lollipop is there and you could take it on a trip and I don't know. Color-changing fingernails, a company called Eye Polish. They're press-on nails that change colors with a special device you have to buy. They have
I can see that
300
being
different
popular.
color shades.
Look,
yes.
here's why I know that'll be popular, because my daughter, who's only 11, puts on these fake nails already.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding.
That is hilarious. The starter kit is $95. That's the story of your life.
Yeah, the starter.
Yes.
The starter. Yeah, that's what I love about that.
Okay, vibrating kitchen knives. They're like your grandma's old school carving knife, but they vibrate 30,000 times a second. So what it does is help you to slice through things quicker.
Yeah, like your hand.
Well, that too,
That's
Fred.
right, Fred.
$400 for those. That's Seattle Ultrasonics.
But when here's the thing. There's some relatability there because I carved the turkey at the Reardon household.
Yes.
And the knife, the carving knife thing.
You have the electric one?
Yeah, it's probably like 20 years old.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't move that fast.
No. So
You're saying
30,000 a second.
you could use one.
I don't know if I need 30,000 a second. I could probably do 15,000 a second, but I'm probably only at like negative 500 a second at this point.
Well, I get that. And I always thought that the electric kind was just to move, like the moving serrated parts did some. I didn't realize vibration
I didn't
had
either.
anything to do with
But I guess it
cutting
does.
faster.
By the way, on the topic of vibration, and this is very personal, but I just got a new electric toothbrush, and I've had an electric toothbrush for many years, but I just got a new one. But this one is like, talk about the 30,000
Really?
top of the line, 700 horsepower. My whole mouth is shaking in the morning. Yeah.
Wow. Wait, what kind is that? I want to know. Well, you're going to have to look that
It's
up.
something like that.
They also have AI-powered hair clippers. You could choose a hairstyle in the app, like crew cut or side part. The blade automatically adjusts while you use it. What could possibly go wrong? And Lego smart bricks, they light up and make different sounds depending on what you're building. Like if they're a part of a car, they'll make an engine sound.
It's kind of cool.
That'd be fun for a kid. And here's what I love. This is a clip-on device that remembers your conversations. Sorry, crowd.
Crowd didn't like
Maybe
that.
your conversations aren't that great. But it's small enough. It clips onto your shirt. It can summarize work calls. It can settle that argument that your spouse claims, that's not what I said. You could say, neat. Oh, here's what happened.
That's like those commercials from a few years ago when they did the instant replay with the husbands and wives. Remember that? It was that was funny.
Yeah, that was funny. They also had some different things in here. There was another thing that was like an AI gaming and work companion, and it showed a desktop hologram that watches your gaming and gives you tips. Here's where you're not doing it right. Here's where you should improve. Okay, and we'll see what George has, by the way, later. And finally, in Sue's News, we have today's random fact. Did you know before David Letterman got his late-night show, he had a morning show on NBC called The David Letterman Show? It lasted from June 23rd to October 24th, 1980.
Yep, I knew
and
that.
that's it.
Wow,
I've never
short-lived.
seen it. Yeah.
There's an Indiana guy himself.
Exactly.
Yeah, but he went to Ball State.
Oh, that's
so
right. That
it's,
doesn't
you
count.
know.
We're coming back with more.
I'm Dan Loney with Your Money Now. OpenAI has announced ChatGPT Health, which will allow users to securely connect their medical records and wellness apps to the AI chatbot. It's not intended for diagnosis or treatment or replace medical care, but to navigate everyday questions. Alaska Airlines has just placed its largest order ever with Boeing for 105 737 MAX jets and 5 787 Dreamliners. It's Alaska's first major Boeing purchase since a door plug panel blew out of a 737 MAX 9 jet 2 years ago. News Corp's Dow Jones has an exclusive deal with Polymarket to bring real-time prediction market data to its outlets. Those include the Wall Street Journal, Barron's, and MarketWatch. Stocks were mixed a day after setting two record highs. The Dow Industrial averaged down 466 points at 48,996. The Nasdaq added 37. The S&P 500 lost 23. That's Your Money Now.
Billy, your gas light's on. We need to stop and fill up.
No way, Jen. Gas around here is too expensive. We can make it a little further.
Billy, listen to your big sister. You don't need to drive all over searching for the lowest gas prices. Do what I do and use Upside.
Upside?
Do you live under a rock, Billy? Upside is the hottest cash back app out there. It's free to download, and you get real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time, and I've already made around $200.
You can make that kind of cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway?
Yes, I'm looking at the Upside app now, and you can get up to a $5 cash back bonus on your first tank.
Okay, I'm stopping to download Upside and fill up my tank. Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code SUPPLY to get up to a $5 cash back bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code SUPPLY to get up to a $5 cash back bonus on your first tank. That's code SUPPLY for up to a $5 cash back bonus.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
When storm damage strikes or it's just time for a new roof, call my friend Cornelius at C. Marion Roofing. This is Ryan Wiggins. I've used him multiple times for roofs and bathrooms. He's licensed and insured for both homes and businesses. Start to finish, he'll handle your insurance claim and get you the job done right, fast, reliable, and with quality you can count on. I can testify to that. Call C. Marion Roofing today, 314-399-2140. That's 314-399-2140. 2140 or type in C. Marion Roofing for all your projects.
When life happens and you need to sell your St. Louis area home, do what I did. Call my friend and trusted realtor Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She's here with me today. Gloria is a St. Louis real estate expert with over 22 years of experience and expertise helping you sell fast and for the most money.
Selling your home can be so stressful, especially when life happens, like a sudden job change, a passing of a loved one, or a growing family. Knowing exactly how much your home will sell in today's market is the first step. Then I back it up with an upfront written guarantee. My guarantee is simple and easy to understand. If I can't sell your home at our agreed upon price and time frame, I'll buy it myself.
When life happens, the name to remember is Gloria Liu, Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. I strongly suggest you call her right now. It's 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888 or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules. Born in the Midwest, built on common sense. FM Talk. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
All right, Phil Holloway from Fox coming up here in a few minutes. He's going to talk about the shooting in Minneapolis. Alex Rich, Fred in the studio with Sue Thomas on this Wednesday afternoon. I think it's been well established that I'm not very handy when it comes to fixing things around the house or anything like that. I've never been quite gifted. Fred, I don't know you are either,
are
you?
I'm just like you.
Okay. Alex, do you have some gifts when it comes to fixing stuff?
I don't.
No.
Yeah, I don't.
There's a couple of stories I wanted to bring up because this is related to skilled workers and not necessarily going to universities, but maybe to trade schools. And we've talked about that over the years. Remember when Chingy came in and talked about that, Fred? I love Chingy.
Oh,
he was fantastic.
Yeah.
He was really trying to promote, young men going into the trades. So 2 stories that I found this week that sort of relate to this. And there's opportunities for young people out there if you want to maybe take these opportunities. Then again, you also have to wonder how much AI is going to take over. But in the Wall Street Journal, they talked about the $160,000 mechanic job that Ford can't fill. And they were focusing on this guy named Ted Hummel. And it said just after 7 a.m. on a recent morning, Ted Hummel leapt up onto the front bumper of a 2019 Ford F-150, reached under the hood to disconnect a pair of oxygen sensor connectors. It's the first step of dozens to replace the truck's transmission, a job that is expected to take 10 hours. Hummel can do it in half that time. He says, I should have it out there by lunch. But what they point out, and he's at a Ford dealership in Kent, Ohio, most mechanics hate messaging with transmissions, the duffel bag-shaped 300-pound machines that transfer power to the vehicle's wheels. Hummel is one of the few who relishes diagnosing their problems, taking them apart, and finagling them in and out of trucks. But the point of the story is he gets $160,000. He made that in 2025. There's always a transmission for him to work on, but they don't have enough guys like Hummel. They cannot. One of the guys that's quoted from the service manager in this dealership in Ohio says, I wish we could clone Ted because there aren't enough Teds, not only at Claiborne Ford, but across the country. And I guess they have this big shortage of mechanics, and they've had it for decades. And that, you can kind of even feel it. I talk about Spieler Automotive, which is out in my neck of the woods in High Ridge. They're great. Josh and his dad, Clayton's a big listener. It's tough to get in because they have so many cars that need to be fixed, right?
And when you find a good one, Michael has one that he particularly likes. He only goes to this guy, and this guy has moved from different places because they're so in demand.
Well, I've had, sometimes it's hard to find someone you trust. When I was in Columbia, when I was getting my first car outside of the Chevy Caprice that my mom and dad gave me was a Volkswagen Golf.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that vehicle, but you know how expensive it was to fix?
Oh, yeah.
So I had a guy, I think his name was Jay Privet. It was Privet Auto. And they were so great to me because I was making no money and car expenses were expensive. They let me do payments. Now, this was 1986, 1987.
Yeah.
But I trusted them. And, I felt like they were telling me the truth. And then with Spieler, I'm so glad that Clayton reached out. He was a listener. And since they're right down where I was located, I'm like, I'm going to check out Spieler Automotive. And they're awesome. And you can believe them. They shoot straight with you, right?
Right.
I ran into Josh at the Walmart in High Ridge the other day. But here's the flip side of this. I think this is interesting. interesting too. Now, I'm not trying to talk people away from going to good mechanics, but in L.A., this is very unique, and I love this. At a tech college in L.A., they're offering an automotive repair program with enrollment that's grown by 34% from 22 to 24. They turn graduates out who work at these dealerships that we're kind of just talking about at BMW, Volkswagen, and Toyota dealerships. But here's the cool part. I used to do this. So, Fred, when you were at Mizzou, did you ever have a cat or anything or a dog when you were at Mizzou?
No.
So they have a pretty good, I still think they have a pretty good vet school at the University of Missouri.
Right. Yeah, they do.
So when I was a student and even post-student, I think my cat Max, it was my first cat I ever had, I would take Max to the vet at Mizzou because it was cheaper, because you had the students that were working on the animals. Well, the same principle applies here. They have these kids that are working in these garage teams with vehicles that, don't work, and they're learning how to fix them. But what happens is people can bring them in, and the labor's free, and the mechanics are earning college credits.
How about that?
Oh, that's genius.
They say
the labor's the most expensive part usually.
Yes.
Absolutely. They say the Los Angeles Trade Technical College offers the largest community college auto repair program in the region, turning out graduates ready to work at dealership service centers, independent shops, and the fleet departments, among other areas. Now, you match up that story with what I just told you about the Ford dealership in Ohio and the fact that there's not enough Hummels that make $160,000 a year. Look, I more and more question the value of a college education for a lot of people in this country. I think it is valuable for many, but not for everyone. And we kind of play this game even as parents where we want our kids to get into these elite universities and be able to tell our friends and everything. But some kids aren't, fit for higher academia universities, and maybe they're better at a trade school. But I think that people need to be aware, even in HVAC. I've had Corey tell me this from Air Comfort. There are people out there, now you got to work, right? But you're making six figures plus, busting your ass, working hard for a living, but you're making good money.
And that's not going to be taken away by AI. If you're a plumber, if you're any of these things, they are extremely well paid and necessary.
Yeah.
We've got to have this stuff before we can have anything else.
Well, and it's going to get even more necessary because some of the AI stuff and the robots, they'll need fixing too, I think. Alex, we're going to get Phil Holloway in here to talk about the shooting, but I wish you well with your Hoosiers on Friday night. You're going to skip the Peach Bowl, but if they win, you're going to Miami, right?
See you in Miami.
And that game's on the 19th.
On the 19th?
All right, you're going to be here next Wednesday?
I may have to be getting myself mentally prepared, but I should be here.
All right, we'll see you then.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, we do have some volume on southbound 55. If you're taking that out of downtown in the construction zone, south of 44 down through Bates. To the south of there, just a little bit of moderate volume headed for Herculaneum. Now, southbound 270, slow pockets there. That is Page down through Gravois before it opens up. Eastbound 44 is jammed approaching Kings Highway. That's due to road work. They've got a couple of lanes down until 6:30. And then westbound 40, slow pockets there. This one is Kings Highway out through 270, and then Winghaven out through 70. 70 isn't as bad, maybe some slow pockets, but nothing terrible. And southbound 170 is slow, headed for 6440. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, you probably hear us talking about the team from the Retirement Advisory Group quite often. They're the official financial planners of this show and Mark's and Annie's as well. And Thomas helping the team, they're great. And I want you to get to know them. We do these seminars with the team 5 times a year. But if you're approaching retirement, it's interesting. We have all, I think, demographics covered when we do these events with Thomas because Annie's far away from retirement. And she kind of speaks to it from that perspective. Mark Cox and I maybe just a little bit closer, but we also work in radio, so you have to take that into account. But the point is that the team at the Retirement Advisory Group is going to guide you through and make recommendations, give you a plan, put you on a path to have a comfortable retirement. And that's more challenging than it was. The stock market's rocking. We know that. It might not always rock. There's a correction probably coming, and inflation plays a factor as well. So let Thomas and the team, Bob Kershaw, his nephew, Bob's wife, Tammy, family-run operation at the Retirement Advisory Group. Find out more today at retirementkey.com.
Hey, it's your main man, Jimmy Fallon, and I am headed your way. Saturday, January 24th at the Factory in Chesterfield. We are defunding the joke police. So grab your tickets at 971fmtalk.com/events, and I will see you in the loo.
If you suffer from burning, tingling, or numb feet, pay special attention as we discuss neuropathy with Dr. Patton, D.C. Doctor, what is neuropathy?
Peripheral neuropathy is nerve damage to the feet and legs.
What are the symptoms?
The symptoms are numbness, burning, tingling, pain, and loss of balance.
Is neuropathy treatable?
It's absolutely treatable, and we have amazing results.
If you have burning, tingling, numbness, coldness in your feet or hands or balance issues, call us at Comprehensive Integrated Health today for a nerve damage screening. The screening will tell if you're at risk for serious complications and if you're a candidate for our cutting-edge treatment program. Don't wait until your symptoms are so severe nothing can be done. End-stage neuropathy leaves people confined to walkers, wheelchairs, and even amputations. The first 10 callers will receive a free nerve damage screening. Call 636-538-5188. That's 636-538-5188 for your free nerve damage screening. 636-538-5188.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
They are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is bull. This was an agent recklessly using power that resulted in somebody dying, getting killed.
Well, when I heard Jacob Fry, the mayor of Minneapolis, make that statement as I was heading in a few hours ago, I had not yet seen the video. The videos were circulating online. I was in my car. Fox had not aired them, so I wasn't really sure what I was going to see. There are several angles from which videos have emerged, and I think they're pretty nuanced here this afternoon. So let's talk about it with Phil Holloway, Fox News legal analyst down in Atlanta. How are you this afternoon, Phil? Happy New Year.
I'm doing great, brother. Glad to be with you. How are you?
I'm good. I will tell you that at first when I started looking at some of the videos, I thought, oh, this does not look good. This does not look like a justifiable shooting. I can't say with 100% confidence that it was a justifiable shooting, but I do think there's a lot of nuance here, especially if you slow the images down and you see that the car was accelerating. But first and foremost, I'm sure we have listeners that aren't up to speed on this. So kind of run down what happened this morning that set off all this chaos.
Well, what's been reported is that, immigration officers were conducting operations in the area, and I think they were trying to get a vehicle out of a snowdrift or something like that and pushing it. And this, I don't know if this driver of this car was part of a protest movement or exactly what she's doing, but in any event, she was in the middle of what they were trying to do. And then they turned it into sort of a vehicle stop situation. And you mentioned you were driving in, you saw that first video and you weren't sure about whether it was a good shooting. That's because of the angle. And if it's the one that I'm thinking about, it's with the person on the phone. She's making lots of noise and she's using lots of F-bombs.
It's the closest video that they have, right? There's a protester that's shouting, right?
It's at a terrible angle, but towards the end of it, you can see it's like the officer who fires the shots is hidden behind the officer who's at the window. And so at first glance like maybe the officer who was at the window of the car did the shooting, but it was the officer directly in front of the vehicle that did the shooting. But here's what I want just people to understand. Take a breath. First off, Frey and those folks that are coming out, the clip that you played in the introduction to this segment, that was extremely reckless and irresponsible because what he's doing is he's fomenting civil unrest.
Absolutely.
And he's pouring gasoline on a fire, and it's extremely reckless because he's not seen all the evidence. He hasn't talked to the investigators, and he for sure doesn't know the law. So I want to start there. Can we just talk about what the law requires and the law says about this? The Supreme Court told us in 1989 in a case called Graham versus Connor that use of force is it's an objective thing. It's got to be objectively reasonable. That means that it's judged not from the perspective of a protester or for me or from you or any of the people that are looking back at this with the 2020 hindsight. It's judged from the perspective of the officer on the scene. And it specifically says to us, the Supreme Court does, that we are to judge this without the benefit of the 2020 hindsight. We got to account for the fact that, these officers are forced to make split-second decisions. The judgments are made intense, uncertain, rapidly evolving, fluid, dynamic situations. And so the law specifically instructs us to view it from the perspective of the officer on scene. So what is this officer on scene? The one that actually fires the shots is in front of a moving vehicle. All he knows in that moment is this is someone who has the vehicle in reverse, and then they slam it into drive, they rev the engine, and they're coming right at him. If you look at it, he makes that split-second decision that the Supreme Court told us about in this case of Graham versus Connor. And so you got to go from his viewpoint, not mine, not yours, not this lunatic who's making that first video, but from his perspective.
Yeah,
and
so
if you look at it with all that in mind, I can tell you, in my opinion, I don't have any problem telling you that I think this is a perfectly justified and legal shooting.
So Sue and I talked about this a little bit earlier, and we've talked about this over the years. We both have had an opportunity. I did this thing here in St. Louis, Phil, called the FBI Citizens Academy, and it gave me some real insight into how they conduct investigations. And also they put us through this shooting simulation with mass shooting scenarios or other, random shooters. And then they put you in that position where you have to make that split-second decision. Is it the bad guy? So I was running cover at a mass shooting in a warehouse, and I had to make sure that the bad guys weren't running out with the people who were just the victims. And one of them was. So I had to shoot the guy, and I got him, by the way. But it illustrated how difficult it is, and you have to make a decision very, very quickly.
Right. It's literally split second. It's one of these things where, if you don't act, this may be your last thing that you ever do is fail to act. And so he's in front of that car. He hears the engine revving up. He knows that something bad is like. And here's the rest of it, though. It's not just the officer's life that he's got to be concerned with. He doesn't know what this person might do if she's willing to use a vehicle as a deadly weapon to ram a federal law enforcement officer. What is she going to do to the officer behind him or the next one down the road? There's other people. There's the public. There's other officers. There's other third parties to take into consideration here. And so all that has to factor into the legal equation. And look, in my mind, you balance all of it out. And if you objectively follow this, not with the breathless hysteria that we're seeing from the kooks on the left now, but if you objectively look at it, a reasonable person has to determine, if they're honest with themselves, that he followed the law.
Right, but there's not a lot of reasonable people in this country right now, and both of the narratives, the dueling narratives, are out there right now. And to your point, I cannot believe how reckless, well, maybe I can, because I've seen Jacob Fry up there before, but Tim Walz as well, saying things that were just ridiculous, acting like they're not the ones that have inflamed this situation for months now, declaring their sanctuary city status, etc., warning ICE not to come in their communities, and then they do this. So there's a lot going on. I hope there aren't riots and fires in Minneapolis, but it would not shock me tonight because there's a lot of anger, and it looks like another situation where people are going to just view this, Phil, through their political lens and not look at the law or the facts.
Yeah, Jacob Fry has prejudged this. He came out, he posted on X at 11:54 a.m. He says, the presence of federal immigration agents is causing chaos in our city. We're demanding ICE to leave the city immediately. So he's asking for this. He's stirring people up on purpose. And if that's the case, and Walz as well, Walz's press conference talking about he's going to bring in the National Guard. That sounds like Civil War type stuff. These people, if you didn't know better, you'd think that they wanted their city to burn. Maybe they do. I hope not. But that's certainly one of the things that could easily happen based on their inflammatory rhetoric.
Yeah, I'm going to let you go because I want to play a little Tim Walz and offer some examples of that. But, Phil, thanks for getting on with me here this afternoon. Happy New Year. We always appreciate your assistance. This will be interesting to watch unfold.
You bet, brother.
Yeah,
Anytime.
take care. All right, we'll see you. So here, I played a little bit of this at the beginning of the show, and it's a little bit of a longer cut. But this all happened, I would say, at about 2:50, 2:45. I'm getting ready for the show. Tim Walz is doing one of his, interviews, or he's doing a news conference. He's got, press in front of him, and this is what he says.
This happened a couple of hours ago, and we're already pitting American against American. All of you saw a video in your eyes. We have a chaotic situation caused by the largest deployment in American history of federal agents into a community with no communication to locals. We had a chaotic situation where an individual is in their car, shot and killed. And so...
Okay, now I'm going to stop there. I had to stop there before. A couple of things, couple of observations. You've literally, Tim Walz and Jacob Fry, told people to ignore federal officials.
Yes.
Don't follow their orders. You've been telling people this for months. And to say in a news conference, and to misrepresent the situation that the woman was simply sitting in her car.
Yes, as if she were, yeah.
Let's describe the situation for people who have not seen the video. The car was parked in the middle of a street.
Attempting to block.
Horizontally,
yes.
right? Attempting to block other vehicles. They were shouting commands at her. She was ignoring them. One officer reached for the car door. She was reversing, and then she accelerated.
Yeah.
And Sue, you're a great example because when I showed you the video, you had not seen it yet. You were confused because you didn't see the officer who did the shooting because he comes from the front of the vehicle. So what I think a lot of people did earlier today is they were looking at that video and they thought it was the guy that was on the side of the car.
Who yanked open the door
Right.
and shot, but that's not it.
No. So he goes on saying his crap here.
Look, I want to be very cautious here because Donald Trump will make this about me. He will make this about politics. This is about public safety, and this is about normalcy. To Americans who are watching this, if you're in Portland or you're in L.A. or you're in Chicago or you're wherever they're coming next.
Yeah, wherever they're coming next. What are you kidding me? Wherever federal officials are coming to root out gang members and criminal thugs. He says, do whatever you can to thwart that.
Stand with us. Stand with us against this. This was so preventable, so unnecessary, and I don't know. I hope. Maybe we're at the McCarthy moment. Do you have no decency? Do you have no decency?
Well, I don't even know what he's talking about. He's not addressing the woman. This is always what happens with the left. No one ever addresses the behavior of the people who are not obeying the officer's commands. Look, I got a speeding ticket last week. Wasn't too thrilled about it. But I'm not going to get out of my car and start shouting at the cop and doing things that's going to get me arrested or shot, right?
Right.
Kept my hands on the steering wheel. Reached for my license. But that's not what Tim Walz wants.
We have someone dead in their car for no reason whatsoever. And I don't want to be right about this, but I said if they do this, they're going to create a chaotic situation where someone innocent's going to get killed. And they did it. And now we hear more political rhetoric. Enough. Enough is enough. And so to Minnesotans, don't take the bait. Do not take the bait. Do not allow them to deploy federal troops into here. Do not allow them to invoke the Insurrection Act. Do not allow them to declare martial law. Do not allow them to lie.
So I don't really want property to be damaged and there to be riots and fires. But, you know, I can't lie. There's a part of me that if that happens, that's on Tim Walz. It's on Jacob Fry, right? They act like they're in no way, shape, or form party to this tragedy today. And to act like this woman was just doing something on her own, just kind of doing some shopping and decided to pull over and stop ICE. These are organized efforts. We know that. They're backed by the socialist leaders of Minnesota. And you're right. We were predicting like something like this would happen. So I agree with Tim Walz. But it's because of your behavior, not because of federal agents' behavior.
Otherwise, that woman would not have been there.
Right. Or if she's, what if she's just kind of protesting or she's shouting at ICE? She's not trying to block their vehicles and accelerate toward an officer. That's a decision that she made.
Yes.
Kind of like Mike Brown, hands up, don't shoot. When he turned around, the forensic evidence is undeniable on this, and he started charging Darren Wilson. Darren Wilson, the unarmed guy, Mike Brown, right? She was unarmed. At least we think she was unarmed. Doesn't matter. He was a threat. The threat was taken out.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got volume out there southbound on 55, south of 44, down through Bates. That, of course, in the construction zone. A little bit slow approaching Herculaneum as well, because the construction zone, there's a second one down there. Eastbound 44, jams approaching Kings Highway. We've got road work in a couple lanes. Westbound 40, that's a slow go. Now, this is approaching Kings Highway. Out past McCausland, it lines up again from Winghaven out through the 70 split. 70 westbound, Jennings Station Road is slow. 141 past 94, a little bit of K, that sort of thing. And southbound 270 has slow pockets from Page down through Gravois. We also have some volume. It's pretty slow, southbound 170 of 40. And westbound 44 in front of the Arch Grounds. Moderate volume, eastbound 6440 headed for the Poplar Street Bridge, but fine on the bridge itself. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
It's 2026. Time to get your home zero resified. 3 rooms of carpet clean, starting at just $119, plus a free hallway and 15% off regularly priced services when you mention 97.1 FM Talk. It's ZeroResSTL.com.
According to MasterCard, nearly half of small businesses have been a victim of a cyber attack. As cybercrime escalates, ThrottleNet is calling on businesses to strengthen their security posture by taking a free online IT security audit right from your desk. This 3-minute online assessment provides an immediate score to see security gaps and vulnerabilities in your network. For 26 years, ThrottleNet has supported your business IT everything right here in St. Louis. In fact, no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So visit ThrottleNet.com/971 to take the free assessment today.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom. Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Many of you know that my inspiration for becoming an accident attorney was my brother Tim, who was rendered a quadriplegic at age 18. I didn't know what a personal injury lawyer was or what they did, but I soon did. Tim was treated terribly by the insurance company, and I became enraged. It was a constant delay and deny. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Tim later worked with me for 27 years. Last year, my hero died at age 65. You can see my eulogy for him by visiting mybrothertim.com. He was one hell of a man. Because of Tim, together we built the largest injury firm in the world, and our clients are treated the way I would want my family to be treated. At Morgan & Morgan, nobody is a nobody and everybody is a somebody. If you need our help, visit forthepeople.com on your phone or computer. See you soon, Tim. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
Injured? Dial #law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
At Gray Bar, we know your time is money. That's why our services go beyond parts and products. With kitting, pre-assembly, wire carts, and Gray Bar smart reels that keep you moving. We stage materials and manage logistics so you can spend less time sorting and more time installing. And with locations nationwide, we deliver when and where you need it, working to make your job easier every step of the way. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Hey, we have, and I haven't visited with him for 3 weeks, Duane Patterson from HotAir.com, host of the Duane's World podcast. He'll weigh in on all the politics and the shooting in Minnesota coming up.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
Tensions rising in Minneapolis. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. After a woman is killed when an ICE agent opened fire during a protest this afternoon. The woman, identified as Renee Good, died in her SUV. Homeland Security says she was heading for the officer. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz wants federal agents out of the state.
We do not need any further help from the federal government. To Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, you've done enough.
And Walz has put the National Guard on notice, meaning they could be called up. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says the shooting was justified.
An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him.
President Trump writing on Truth Social that he saw a video of the incident claiming the woman ran over the ICE officer and that the officer shot her in self-defense, though video shows the officer never hit the ground. And the president calling for a massive increase in military spending, setting the budget for 2027 at $1.5 trillion. This coming days after the operation to capture Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro and bring him to the U.S. to face federal criminal charges. The U.S. military has seized 2 Venezuelan-linked oil tankers on the North Atlantic, one in the North Atlantic.
This was a Venezuelan shadow fleet vessel that has transported sanctioned oil, and the United States of America, under this president, is not going to tolerate that.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, who says Venezuelan oil is beginning to be put up for sale, and the money from that sale will be split between the U.S. and Venezuela. California will lose an additional $160 million for delaying the revocation of 17,000 commercial driver's licenses for immigrants. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy has already withheld $40 million because he says the state's not enforcing English proficiency requirements for truckers. America is listening to Fox News.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapor Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapor Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
The mild January weather continues, but we will be colder for the weekend. Overnight tonight, lots of clouds taking control. We'll only drop back to 45. On Thursday, it's a cloudy, windy day with periods of rain, maybe a rumble of thunder, but not raining all day long. I think there'll be some breaks. 63 for the high. Thursday night, showers, windy, could be a rumble of thunder, a flash of lightning. That's during the evening. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
It's already Wednesday. I can't believe that. We have a roundtable on Friday, of course. It'll be, I think our first roundtable of the year because of the holiday. And we do have kind of a significant Reardon Roundtable announcement to make on Friday at 3 o'clock. So keep yourself posted for that, or stay tuned, because that'll be significant, I think, for those of you who have listened to the Roundtable over the years. I can't let the secret out of the bag right now, but we'll have some details on Friday afternoon at 3. Yesterday, we had a dazzling interview with George Rosenthal from ThrottleNet. We're going to start doing something on a regular basis with him called Tech Talk Tuesdays. But all of the stuff that he was sending us and showing us and talking about last night at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas was so crazy. He went through a bunch of the exhibits and a lot of the booths again today. So we'll have report number 2 on CES in Las Vegas. Right now, Duane Patterson back with us from hotair.com, host of the Duane's World podcast. I've not caught up with him for about a month because of the holiday. Happy New Year. How are you?
Happy New Year, my friend, and Happy New Year, Sue. I have just one quick question before we get started. The quick question is, we always hear from the chief meteorologist, whoever the chief meteorologist
Dave Murray.
is.
That's Dave Murray, yeah.
Have we ever heard from the deputy assistant meteorologist?
We haven't. And by the way, the chief meteorologist lives a lot closer to you than he does to me because he's out in California. Dave's great. He's a retired KSDK NBC affiliate meteorologist, but he still does this on the side, and he does it for KMOX in our station. But no, to your point, we never do hear from that other person, whoever that might be.
Wonder why that is.
I don't know.
Okay, anyway.
All right, let's start here with Minneapolis because that's the story of the afternoon and the day. It's interesting how both sides kind of dug in on this one. I played this audio a couple of times here today with Jacob Fry, who seems to be one of the more unhinged mayors. Like, if you're trying to pick more unhinged mayors over the other, he'd be certainly in top competition with J.B. Pritzker, or I'm sorry, Brandon Johnson.
To ICE, get the f*** out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite.
I think that Jacob Fry and Tim Walz have done exactly the opposite. Now, I admitted this afternoon, Duane, that when I first saw the video of this, I had some questions, and maybe I still have some questions. I don't know 100% if this was justifiable. I do know that there's some nuance to the videos that have emerged, and that officers have to make very, very quick decisions. Thoughts on all of the news of the day?
Okay, let's start with the mayor. The mayor and Tim Walz, if Donald Trump incited violence, right? If the claim from the left is that Donald Trump incited violence, then Jacob Fry and Tim Walz get the death penalty for what they just pulled off today alone, right? I mean,
100% agree.
I mean, I talk about this with one of my guest hosts, a good friend of mine named Kurt Schlichter, retired Army Colonel. We have one rule, and we thought we knew what that rule was until the left kind of redefined what speech was and redefined all the different rules as to what incitement was and redefined what impeachment meant. All this redefinition and came up with a new rule when it applies to Trump. So I'm okay if we're going to throw all the old standards out and we're going to go with this one new rule, whatever this new rule is, that rule applies. And the left doesn't want it to apply to them. They only want it to apply one way. But we only have one rule. But if we're going by that rule, then there should be no reason why Tim Walz and Jacob Fry aren't in leg irons by the end of the day.
Well, it was so reckless. And you know, I don't know what's going to happen in Minneapolis. I don't know if there's going to be riots. I know that the crowds are building. But what they said was unbelievably irresponsible given the situation. But that's certainly to be expected. Tim Walz in particular, and I played this audio a couple of times earlier, so I won't repeat it right now, but he acts as if this woman was sitting in her car doing nothing, just minding her own business, and an ICE agent went up to her and popped her in the head.
So what happened? And there's the equivalent of the Zapruder film now that's out on Twitter, slowed down to a third speed. But it's not hard to understand if you just get the Trump hatred out of the way for a minute and just honestly look at what's going on here. What you have is a lady in the middle of the street in her car sideways.
Blocking traffic, right.
Blocking traffic. Now, she waves people by that she can verify that aren't federal agents. And so you can see her with her left arm out the window waving them by.
She's specifically blocking the ICE agents. Yes.
And as soon as a pickup truck with flashing lights comes up that she recognizes is an ICE truck, she sits there and digs in. The agents come out and they start to go through the process of arresting her. They're arresting her because she is detaining and interfering with a federal agent in a federal operation, which is a felony. She is committing a felony in the middle of the blinking street.
So they're commanding her to get out of the vehicle, to stop the vehicle. They go for the one officer, goes for the door. She at first has the car in reverse, and then she accelerates.
She backs the car up, turns the wheel, and steers the car, puts it in drive, and hits the gas, going into another agent right in front of her. And as soon as that car hits drive and she starts to rev the engine, she is now a threat. She is now committing a second felony. The second felony is assault with a deadly weapon because the car is a deadly weapon. I don't think the left wants to redefine that either, because if you are now allowed to mow down a law enforcement officer because you don't want to be arrested and you don't particularly want a ticket, you don't think you're doing anything wrong, I don't think we want to change that rule. The officer was telling her to stop. She hits the gas, starts to go at the cop with the car. He draws down on her with deadly force, and that's that. At best, if you want to ascribe, she was just trying to flee the scene. Okay, at best, she's trying to evade arrest, which is also a felony, right? So at a minimum, she's got 3 felonies she's doing in a matter of about 30 seconds. And the second she put that car in drive, turned the wheel, and hit the gas toward that agent, I saw so much nonsense online today that, they just shot her through the open window from the side. Nobody was under any threat except for
Well,
the
one
image
one
of
bullet
the
went through the
car,
windshield. I know that.
the first bullet going through the windshield, yes,
Right,
which means that she was heading directly at an officer.
Yeah, the angle is important there.
Of course it is.
Right. Absolutely. As it was in the Mike Brown situation. I offered this as an example. The reason that he was shot was because the forensic evidence is so clear that he, after everything that happened that day in Ferguson, Duane, with Darren Wilson, as he was walking away, he did not have his hands up and his back to the officer. He actually turned around and charged Darren Wilson, and that's when he was shot and killed.
Which it should. I mean, that should be, and it's as justifiable of an act as you can come up with. I mean, it would have been a different thing entirely if there was nobody in her path and she was just trying to flee and they started to shoot at her from behind. That's not what happened.
But that's the way it's being portrayed, I think. And, it was interesting because I was listening to some of this as I was driving in, and I did not have the advantage of seeing the audio. I left the house, the video. The video wasn't out yet. There were some images of some of the chaos, but not of the direct shooting. The first image that I saw was from further away and was an angle from the front right of where the vehicle would be, but maybe 100 yards in the distance or wherever it was. And that made it look like the officer was in jeopardy of being hit by the car. But then when the closer video comes out, it does give you the appearance, I'm not going to lie, you could look at that one and say, because you don't see the officer in front of the car, you might think it's non-justifiable. I think what needs to happen here is we need more video, and I'm guessing some more video might emerge from the other side of the street.
I'm thinking that will happen too. The video that I saw, it shows that now it may have been after she was hit. I can't tell whether it was the first or second shot, but the video I saw, the car actually hit that front agent. It glanced him on the hip,
yes,
but it made contact. It hit him. So, look, again, there's a really easy way to have resolved this, and that is not to use your Honda Pilot as a battering ram on law enforcement. That's usually the best way to not get yourself shot. It just is.
Well, I would agree with you, but this is not going to make things better in this country right now. And obviously, Tim Walz and Trump are going back and forth, and we know where the legacy media is going to mostly land on this. I'll tell you what, here's what I'm curious about. I'd love your thoughts on this. I'll be very curious, and maybe I should watch it when I get home, how Tony DeCopel and the CBS Evening News is going to handle this story tonight.
Boy, isn't that something? I'm going to be really curious to see how the spin is and if they play it straight. We saw how ABC carried the arrests and the movement of Maduro into the Brooklyn jail and said, "Oh well, he's got his supporters here. There's all sorts of supporters here for Maduro," not bothering to figure out that they were paid supporters by the CCP. But you're right. It's going to be interesting to see how CBS does this, because a lot of media, not all of them, but a lot of media buried the salient fact that she put the car in drive and tried to run over a federal agent until 20 paragraphs deep in a 22-paragraph story. It was 37-year-old white woman does nothing and gets shot by cops. Well, okay, that's leaving out a few key points.
Yeah, right. So I checked in with my friend Tim Fitch today. He's the former St. Louis County Police Chief. He was also a St. Louis County Councilman. He didn't have time to jump on the air with me today, but here's what he told me in a text. He said, "I watched it multiple times with another retired officer. She clearly drove toward the officer in front of her vehicle, and he fired. From his perspective, he would articulate he thought she was going to run him down, but her vehicle ended up veering around him to his left as he moved out of the way to his right. Either way, it's going to be a blank show up there." So, when you say playing it straight, I think it's fair to break down all aspects of this. The problem is that this is already under the assumption that it was a bad shoot because Jacob Fry and Tim Walz are out there shooting off their mouth, which is going to lead to fires and riots and all that other stuff. And if someone else gets hurt, which is very likely based on what we might expect could happen tonight, who's that on? That's on Jacob Fry and Tim Walz.
Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. Because here's how much of a tinderbox that is. You know where that incident happened, right? You know how far away that was from the George Floyd incident?
I do not know the geography on that.
2 blocks.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
It's
really?
Right there. It's in the same It's in the same zone. It's 2 blocks away.
So I have a nephew that lives right in that area, and I texted him this afternoon. He's a Chicago native, and he's a Bears fan, so we go back and forth because I'm a Packers guy. And I
sorry about that.
I
Yeah.
know. I said, better chance the Bears beat the Packers than Minnesota burns to the ground. His response to me was, Bears have a great leader in Ben Johnson. The state of Minnesota has Walsh. I'll take the Bears any day of the week. That's not a bad way to handicap that because that goofball, I mean, look, we could have already talked about Tim Walsh for 10 minutes outside of what happened today based on his news conference on Monday.
Well, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Now, what's going to happen tonight, I have no idea. I do not want violence to happen. That's the last thing in the world we need. If there's good news, bringing back our chief meteorologist, the forecast for Minneapolis tonight is 2 degrees.
Yeah, that's not going to help. Protesters are going to stay inside maybe. That actually might be a big benefit.
Although, boy, that does lead to bonfires.
Yeah, but you know what? That might be a saving grace because you have nicer weather, and I think people are more likely to get out. Yep. Let's talk a little bit more. Duane Patterson is here with HotAir.com, the host of the Duane's World podcast. I was off for a couple of weeks, as you know. I didn't pay attention to the news cycle until Saturday morning when everything happened.
I was working away every day. You were sloughing away again on vacation.
I was, but then everything happens on Saturday. Look, I've been following the Somali fraud stuff and everything, kind of taking a peek at the news. But when this happened in Venezuela, I was forced to pay attention, and I find it fascinating. Now, obviously, you had both sides kind of digging in on that, which was unbelievable to me because here again, you have Democrats. I can't believe it. Look, Duane, Republicans say stupid crap too. They're hypocritical. But for Chris Murphy and Chuck Schumer to have made definitive statements on getting rid of Maduro and how bad of a guy he is, and then to flip it around on Saturday afternoon and Sunday morning to act completely opposite. I can't believe that they could look at themselves in the mirror, but this is just standard practice. I guess they're used to it.
Look, it's actual intellectual laziness on the left. Every day that Trump wakes up and puts his feet on the floor, he's committing a felony to the left, right? I mean, that's just how their worldview is. So Chuck Schumer, 2 weeks before Trump's first term ends in January of 2021, goes on the Senate floor and tries to steamroll over Donald Trump on his way out the door, saying, you didn't do anything about Nicolas Maduro. You didn't do anything about that. And so he's criticizing him for not taking decisive kinetic action to get him out of power. Flash forward to 4.5 years later when Trump does exactly that, and Chuck Schumer goes on George Stephanopoulos' Sunday show and says, well, it's illegal. Everybody knows it's illegal. He had no power to do that. He's breaking the law. Just shut up. Just shut up.
Well, let me get your thoughts on this, too, because the other guy that's saying stuff like that is Rand Paul.
Planning for this attack in Venezuela took 4 months. We could have easily voted for a declaration of war had it been brought to Congress. People say, well, the surprise is gone. Well, I don't think anybody was surprised by this attack. And the actual details of when it would occur don't have to be given to Congress. I think the president has carte blanche authority to move troops around and execute war. The initiation of war is where we come in. But I think that should be adhered to and could have been done here, even with the element of surprise.
All right, so look, the problem I have, and I like Senator Paul, and I understand his position on many of these issues, but we're not at war with Venezuela.
No, and what he said, I like. There's parts of me that are. I have a soft spot for Rand Paul as well.
Yeah, right.
But that said, that's just utter nonsense what he said. Because number one, when he says nobody was surprised, I think Maduro was surprised.
Oh, I do too.
Don't you?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I think his wife was surprised.
Very.
I think they're both surprised.
Yeah.
I think the dead Cuban security force was the Russian S-300 systems that are now in smoldering ruins. I think they were a little surprised that they got blown up so easily. But when it comes to the action itself, it was not a declaration of war. It was ensuring we had enough security forces to enforce a warrant. We read him his rights. It was a law enforcement action.
Look, these are the people that were demanding due process for the Maryland father. Well, they're getting due process here.
Saw it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what this was. Nicolas Maduro, before he got frog marched out, was Mirandized for crying out loud.
Oh, my God. By the way, I love the memes. I mean, the sweatshirt, the goggles, it's all been glorious here this week. What did you think? One more question. What did you think of Trump's weaving yesterday and his message to Republicans heading into the midterms?
Not too bad overall. I guess to me, the messaging should be a little bit sharper when it comes to this foreign policy action, because it's good to say, we just seized this, 30 to 50, million barrels of oil, $2 billion worth. We're going to refine it here. It's going to go to the U.S. and it's going to go to Venezuela. All that's great. But what he should have said is that 30 to 50 million barrels, that $2 billion worth of revenue, is not going to China. It's not going to Cuba. You've got to. It's not just our interest getting improved, which it did.
Yeah, Republicans continue to have a bit of a marketing problem, and hopefully they can figure that out.
Russia, it hurt China, yes.
Dwayne, Happy New Year. Awesome to have you back. We'll talk next week.
You got it.
All right, we'll see you.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Couple of stalls reported. One eastbound 6440 approaching 270. Watch for that one in the left lane. And one eastbound 70. This one approaching 170. Also in the left lane. Now, westbound 70 slowing at Jennings Station Road. Some moderate volume in pockets 94 out through Wentzville. Little bit slower on 6440. That's Kings Highway in pockets out through 270 and then Winghaven out through 70. Eastbound 44 jamming as you head for Kings Highway. We've got road work going on there. And they've got a couple lanes down. And westbound a little slow in the Webster area. Southbound 270, just some slow pockets south of Page down through Gravois. And if you're on 55, it's really only slow at Bates. And we still look great if you are headed into Illinois on the bridges downtown. This report is brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, they've been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out, windows, siding, kitchens, baths, outdoor spaces, quality craftsmanship, lifetime warranties. LakesideRD.com and start your dream project today. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
So I'm going to talk about Neovite vitamins, but I want to tie in something that happened today. So RFK Jr. announced these new nutrition guidelines. This is crazy, Sue. Pushing more protein and less processed food. That sounds nuts, right? So in the middle of this, did you see what happened with his phone?
No.
His phone goes off, and listen to the ringtone.
I mean, my hope is that we only released these earlier, 2 days earlier.
It's a quack. It's a duck.
I'm sorry.
Duck is also high in protein.
Somebody says duck is also high in protein. Look, on the topic of nutrition, this was great moves from Washington today, but you can do something for yourself here in the St. Louis area and help a local company and cancer research at the same time, and that's with Neovite vitamins, because it's been about 15 years since Neovite's been around. They have the original formula. They have Neovite men's 50+, women's 50+, 20 vitamins and minerals, and you get everything that you really need for your nutritional support right here in St. Louis, and a portion of the proceeds from the sale of Neovite goes to cancer research here in St. Louis. You can buy Neovite in stores like Schnucks or Deerberg's, but if you want to save some money, you do it directly from the website or sign up for a subscription. Then they ship them to your door every month. You save a lot of money. Neovite.com. Get started today to support your nutrition. That's Neovite.com.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw. When we meet our clients for the first time, they have built up a lifetime of savings. Their question is, what can we do with this money so we can live comfortably the rest of our lives? First, we develop a strategy to protect your nest egg from any market losses. Then we build your own personalized structured income plan that will generate you an income the rest of your life. We put you in control of your money.
You've earned it, and it's our job to make sure you enjoy it. Let our team show you how you can have the retirement of your dreams. Call us now at 314-993-9494 for a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review. You will also get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. We've been helping retirees and pre-retirees retire with confidence for 40 years. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
All right, I'm going to call a little audible here. Kristi Noem, the Homeland Security Secretary, is holding a news conference on the shooting from Minneapolis, and we're going to join that here.
This state has faced unprecedented immigration fraud. It's seen unprecedented benefit fraud. Individuals were allowed to come into this country and set up fake companies and fake nonprofits and divert billions of dollars away from American citizens and those vulnerable citizens who truly needed the services from those programs. This city has burned before, and your mayor and your governor let it happen. President Trump is not going to let that happen. He and our federal law enforcement officers are here to bring peace and to bring public safety and to ensure that criminal activity is stopped and that people who perpetuate it will face consequences. Since we have been here in recent weeks, we have arrested over 1,500 criminals off of the streets. Our law enforcement has arrested murderers, known and suspected terrorists, child pedophiles, and other brutal criminals that were protected here in this city. We should all work together to protect our citizens. We should all protect the men and the women and the families who live here in Minneapolis, who live in Minnesota, and live throughout this entire country. I want to thank you for being here, and I want to thank you for focusing on the important work that our federal officers do and make sure that we're focused on the priorities of this country, and that's making sure that we're keeping people safe. With that, I'll take any questions that you may have.
Secretary, no, Mayor Frey called the claims of self-defense BS. How do you respond to that?
I say that he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's very clear that this individual was harassing and impeding law enforcement operations. Our officer followed his training, did exactly what he's been taught to do in that situation, and took actions to defend himself and defend his fellow law enforcement officers.
Secretary, can you expand too on the agent's injuries? The president said that he's lucky to be alive.
The officer was hit by the vehicle. She hit him. He went to the hospital. A doctor did treat him. He has been released, but he's going to spend some time with his family.
Can you clarify whether he was hit before or after the gunshots were fired?
I can't, but the FBI will continue the investigation and release more facts when it's appropriate.
Secretary, no, has the agent been relieved of his duty, or can you give us any other insight?
No, we're following the standard protocol procedures we do in situations like this. When there's an officer-involved shooting, we make sure that we get the facts and that we are getting the statements from everybody involved and make sure that investigators are handling the decisions.
Secretary, no, have ICE operations paused because of what happened today?
No, we're still out on the streets doing our work to get dangerous criminals off of the streets of Minneapolis.
Can you tell us any insight into your conversation with the governor?
You know, Tim and I have known each other for years. We served in Congress together. We both ran for governor the same year and have served as governor at the same times. So we were colleagues, and we discussed what happened here today. We have two very different viewpoints of it. I talked specifically about the fact that we have laws. They need to be enforced. He knows that I believe sanctuary policies have protected criminals and placed a priority of them over the citizens that live here, and he knows we'll continue to do our work, and I encouraged him to work with us. We've never had a cooperative arrangement with law enforcement here. Whenever we've done investigations, whenever we've done police work, when we've been doing what we can to bring people to justice for the crimes that they commit, we haven't had the cooperation of the state of Minnesota or the city police here under the mayor's direction. If you talk to any of these federal law enforcement officers, they'll say that when they call for backup in a situation, that it's hit and miss. They were grateful today that the police chief and local law enforcement showed up at the scene and helped secure it to make sure that nobody was harmed and that the FBI could do their work. But I would encourage them to work with us, that we could form a partnership that would make sure that individuals have the opportunity to have a safe Minneapolis.
Secretary, will body camera
Over here.
really stand behind the use of force, and will any of those use of force guidelines be altered or changed in the future?
You know, it's clearly established law that a vehicle driven by a person and used to harm someone is a deadly weapon. Deadly force is perfectly lawful when a threat is faced by a weapon. So I do believe that this officer used his training in this situation, and we'll let the FBI continue the investigation to get it resolved.
So just to be clear, did the shooting happen before or after the vehicle hit the officer?
I know you keep asking that, but that doesn't mean that the FBI is going to give you an answer today. There will be an investigation. We want to make sure that it's factual. What I would ask is that as we go forward from here today, that we all remember that our job is to have peaceful discussions. I'd encourage our local law enforcement and state law enforcement to work with us. We are going to continue to operate here in Minneapolis and in the state of Minnesota to make sure we're going after dangerous criminals. One of the key focuses that we've had here is a focus on individuals who are sexual predators and are involved in child exploitation. When I was just here yesterday, we arrested individuals who were charged with criminal assault and sexual assault and people that exploited children. Why would you want to keep them on your streets? President Trump has promised to go after the worst of the worst, and that's exactly what we're doing in Minneapolis. By not working with us, Governor Walz and Mayor Frey are putting those criminals and prioritizing them over our children and our grandchildren.
Governor Walz said that he is not going to give any heads up when there is.
And that's simply not true. He said that to me on the phone, too, so I'll get him the documentation that he needs so that he knows that we would love to coordinate with him.
That's Christy Noem doing a live news conference in Minneapolis. One of the things that Tim Walz said is that there's been no cooperation with the feds, with local law enforcement. That's because you've told the police not to cooperate with ICE.
Correct.
So he talks out of both sides of his mouth so often. It's just perfect, unfortunately, and sadly and very tragically, that this is going to be his swan song after announcing that he's not resigning. But we don't know. And again, 2 degrees in Minneapolis, that might help reduce the risk of rioting, right? But we'll keep you posted on all of that. We had 24 hours ago an amazing, energetic, dazzling interview with George Rosenthal from Throttle That, who is at CES in Las Vegas. We have conversation number 2 coming up next.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Thank you to listener Fred Bottenheimer for calling this one in. Well, he texted me. There is an accident southbound 55 before Gasconade. They were saying the left lanes were closed. Fred said, yep, the middle lanes. And crews are on the way to that. So some slow-moving traffic in that area.
Fred Bottenheimer over there, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. And eastbound 44, there is an accident reported near Kings Highway. Now, we already have road work going on there with a couple of lanes down, and that will be until 6:30 tonight. So traveling in that area, the flashing lights are in the left lanes. Well, it's in the right lanes. That's where the road work is. And there is a real jam going behind that. Westbound 40, Kings Highway, out through McCausland, and out west between Winghaven and 70 is a slow go. Accident on the Blanchette Bridge. Look for heavy traffic back through 270. Southbound 170 jams at 64. And we look good on the Poplar Street Bridge. I'm Sue Thomas. That's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
License number E2014A.
Hey, it's good to see you.
At Grasser Home Services, we're looking for happy plumbers to join our team. Plumbers who are polite, honest, and do the job right.
And love dogs. They must love dogs.
Plumbers who treat customers' homes with respect, care about the details, and show up on time.
Know a happy plumber who's great with dogs?
Have them call Grasser Home Services.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You sort through tons of resumes and you get too many so-so applicants. You're just waiting for someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now, there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team. Build it sooner. ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try it for free. And you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Hi, I'm Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, America's largest family law firm. During this time of year, difficult relationships sometimes become impossible. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. CordellCordell.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
The ACA Marketplace has announced significant increases on their monthly premiums for 2026, with deductibles over $10,000. You can enroll with Greg Hammond's Freedom of Choice plans now. You don't have to wait. One of their plans lets you use any doctor, has 0 outpatient deductibles, and it's 30 to 60% lower costs than most Obamacare plans. Other options are full coverage PPOs with national networks, copays, and 100% annual preventative care. Also, there's no income disclosure required, so no potential tax penalties. If you pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive, call Greg and they'll provide all available options. Call 314-794-7784. That's 314-794-7784. Or go to greghammonds.com. That's greghammonds.com. He can custom design a plan managed and chosen by you, not the government.
The team at Ricken Financial want to help you make educated and informed decisions about your retirement strategies.
Why not rely on individuals who can optimize your thinking and optimize your plan and optimize all the resources and show you what's all available to be able to make a truly informed decision?
Call Ricken Financial today, 314-207-6211, or online at rickenfinancial.com, and join us for Kickin' with the Rickens, Sunday at 1 p.m. here on 97.1 FM Talk.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
5:36. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Real talk, today's issues. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis conservative.
Oh my gosh, I'm so looking forward to our second conversation in as many days with George Rosenthal from ThrottleNet. He's out in Las Vegas at the Consumer Electronics Show. He dazzled us with some stories yesterday. We invited him back. How was day 2, George? How are you?
Day 2 is a lot of fun, doing great, exhausting. I've never seen so much humanity in one place at one time in my life.
Well, first of all, let me talk a little bit about what you discussed yesterday, because you were nice enough to share some images and videos. And one of the things that you referred to yesterday is you were able to go on this underneath the loop tunnel for Tesla that is underground in Vegas.
So cool.
And you sent the video of that, and it was really cool. And you could hear the driver kind of explaining how it works. And you're not going real slowly through those tunnels. They're moving pretty quick, right?
No. Yeah, you're hauling. In fact, when it's automatic, and during the convention they had actual drivers, but normally if you're out here on a regular day, it's all automated Teslas driving through these tunnels. And he said it can go to 90 to 100 miles an hour because there's nothing around, and the tunnels are barely big enough for the car. And the car knows exactly how to go and where to go. And it is fascinating. I mean, it's faster than a subway, and you're in a private car by yourself and your friends. It's really, really neat. Of course, leave it up to Elon.
So
has the coolest string.
I consider Vegas my second home. I'm actually heading out there again next weekend. But is that something that the public can use at this point?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Absolutely. First, I believe the ride is normally about $3 to $4. And they're right now making another tunnel all the way to the airport. So you're going to be able to go from the airport to several different locations, all the main convention centers throughout Vegas on the Tesla loop. And, it's really wild. Like, you go down in the subway, and it's all glowing. And I don't know if you saw the lights, and these cars pull up, and you get in. They tell you which slot to stand in. You're like, okay, well, I'm in car number 3, and the gull-wing doors open. You get into a Tesla, and away you go at rocket speed off to your destination. And then you pop up out of the ground, and you're at a completely different location. You get out of your Tesla, and off you go. It's really, really outrageously fun to not be in a subway train, but be in your own private car that's cruising through the tunnel.
All right, well, you told us about a lot of technology that you saw yesterday. Some was very unique. You saw some televisions that were pretty cool. What did you get to tour today?
Oh, man, today was something else. I saw some things that were highly over-engineered and unnecessary in life, but they are dynamite cool. Let me start off with the most practical thing. First was an exoskeleton. Now, this is something you wear around your waist, around your hips, and then you tie right above the knee, and it's got motors near your hips. And this is all low-profile stuff. It's not real clumsy and real bulky, but it helps you on a day-to-day basis climbing ladders, picking things up. If you go for a run, it's helping your legs move so you're not using your whole body. The exoskeleton then graduated as we walked down the aisle, and a different vendor had one that was the neatest one ever. It was for kids, and it was for kids who have cerebral palsy, any type of issues where they can't walk, and it literally picks them up, uses AI to help balance them, and allows them to walk, seamlessly through obstacles, anything that they need to go through. It was unbelievably awesome to see that. Then they had one for adults, 6 foot plus tall adults, exoskeletons to help people that can't walk become mobile and be able to go anywhere. It was unbelievable to see that kind of technology, and that is coming out in the market in March and April. The other one that I saw was really neat was the wheelchair that has all the sensors that a Waymo self-driving cab has. So imagine you can't walk, maybe you're blind or you have very bad vision. This wheelchair can see traffic, stop you from crossing the street.
Wow.
It can dodge obstacles. It can go into stores, wait for the doors to open. It literally is an artificial intelligent wheelchair that can help folks get around. It was unbelievable to see that kind of technology in action.
That kind of makes sense, and it makes me wonder why we haven't had more focus on that in the first place. But that's pretty cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and there was a huge focus on wellness and longevity and living. There's AI built into so many things now, and rings that go on your fingers, and necklaces around for you and your kids, belt loops that read all your vitals and give it to your app to help you throughout your day. All these different devices in the house that are all based on longevity and wellness.
Yeah.
That was a big, big theme. Where we were at.
Yeah, I have a belt loop that tells me when I'm eating too much sugar. I'll tell you that right now.
I got that one too.
Yeah. That's pretty high
tech. And it doesn't have to have AI either.
No, not at all. All right, anything else that Sue actually talked about some pretty crazy stuff earlier on Sue's News. You want to tell them about the lollipop thing?
Yeah, there was like some sort of lollipop that would send stuff into your brain, and you could listen to music while if you bit down, you could hear it, but it would only be inside your head. I mean, George, there's wacky stuff.
Oh, there's some crazy stuff. I mean, there's some stuff like, everybody knows a Roomba, a little round vacuum cleaner. Goes around your house, right? Let's say you got a 2-story house. I talked yesterday about one that had tracks, kind of like a tank that would drive down the stairs. I saw one today that was completely over-engineered, insane. This thing pulled into a drone-style helicopter about 2 feet wide and took off with an engine that sounded like an F-18 Hornet in your house.
Oh, my goodness.
So ridiculously loud. And it flies down the stairs or up the stairs and then relaunches the Roomba onto that floor. It was completely out of control. The real big thing today, though, on the other side of the hall we were at was the pets. I know it sounds corny and crazy, but these AI pets are taking it up a notch. These are next-level robots that can help you, kind of like an Amazon and I hate to say her name, but an Echo that you talk to. It helps you with your schedule, helps you with what you're doing, but it's also a pet that fetches things, picks things up around the house for you. It literally is on 2 wheels and has gyroscopes that keep it completely level. It's about a foot tall and about a foot wide. And I spoke with the owner and CEO. He said that these are going to be used all over for police departments, military, but they're going to be priced affordable to where you have an actual robot pet in your house that is also your assistant. So they're taking the whole robot pet thing to a whole new level.
Wow.
Maybe an uncomfortable level for those of us who love real pets. So you sent me a picture of something that is pretty cool, and I'm a big fan of professional golf, and I try to play amateur golf, but it's called the Divot Fix, and this is a little machine that drives around golf courses and greens and fixes divots on fairways and greens. That's pretty cool.
Yes, that was fascinating. It literally uses LiDAR and analyzes the ground and looks for divots that were taken out on fairways and on greens, goes over tops of them and repairs them automatically. And it'll spend all day, 10 hours, just roaming the golf course, fixing divots, and then goes back to its home and recharges. It's unbelievable. The other one along that same lines was this janitorial cleaning system that's meant for manufacturing plants, warehouses, large distribution centers, and it's about $30,000, but it roams around the entire warehouse manufacturing floor and picks up pieces of pallets, bolts, nails, and it literally is a self-sustaining janitor that empties itself, fills itself up with water and fluids, cleans the floors all day long, nonstop. It has sensors all over it. I saw some unbelievable things about just the amount of robots that are out there with lawn care. Oh, my goodness. So many vendors with lawn care.
I need one of those for sure. So you sent some pictures of some robots that are very realistic looking, and you said they're $95,000. They're for sale. They're meant to be home companions and helpers around the house, also greeters at certain events and locations. I mean, these things look creepy, but you're in Sin City, so can I ask a question that Sue might want to cover her ears for? There's got to be some sex stuff with all this stuff too, right? You can't tell me there's not.
There were. It was a couple of booths that were very creepy, not going to lie. Let's put it this way. I didn't take any pictures of them because I didn't want to be that guy standing in front of that booth. But there were a couple of booths that were a little off, that had a little thing going on. But that is a real thing. And I don't know if you saw the robots that looked like they were, fighting. The ones that, they're shaking their arms like they're loosening up a boxing match. That is legit. Like, those were autonomous robots walking around doing the fight scenes. And then I'll also send you the one where it was playing ping pong with a guy. And it was accurately playing ping pong as the guy was trying to stop it. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. You talked about that one yesterday. I want to see it. That robot, by the way, have you been to Sphere?
Yes.
Okay, so because I had a conversation with a robot that looks like that when I went to Sphere for the first time. I've been there twice. I'm supposed to go again next weekend. But I was able to ask questions and interact. And I asked him last year, because it was January last year, how the Chiefs were going to do in the playoffs, and gave me kind of a non-answer answer, but it was entertaining nonetheless.
Oh, yeah. So I did not go inside the Sphere. I drove right by it, and I think I sent a picture of the outside of it. It was fascinating. Right now they're showing Wizard of Oz, so I was kind of looking forward to a live concert, but we didn't get to go to that. So
I'm going to see Zach Brown next weekend at Sphere.
Oh, now that would be great. That would be something great. I'm going to miss that by 1 week. Yeah, I'll tell you what, though, this show, the stuff that's coming out this spring, and a lot of what we talked about over the last 2 days, you and I right now, it's coming out in the spring. It's got to be March, April. A lot of this stuff we're not talking years from now. This stuff is coming out now. It really is unbelievable. And it's all, most of what we talked about is reasonably priced when it comes to the robots and the crazy technology. The wellness and longevity tech is really a big focus. So get ready for that. That's going to be all over the place when it comes to wearables, things that, like, even what's wild is they had AI built into sleep masks. So it sensed how often you're snoring, how much you're tossing and turning, what your real sleep is, and it reports back. And this isn't a mask. They also had AI built into a pillow. And I don't know how much you want AI in your pillow.
I don't.
But it's sensing all of your sleep patterns and sleep habits. And then it's giving you advice on everything from nutrition, the way you're laying down in your bed, how you're sleeping, and so forth. So it is definitely a major push with AI and wellness.
Is it slipping you an Ambien if it takes an hour or more to go to sleep? Because that's what I would demand. George, awesome content. We really appreciate it. Have fun. Send more videos, okay?
Absolutely, will do.
That's George Rosenthal from ThrottleNet.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Accident, southbound 170 at Del Mar. It was in the 2 right lanes. Now just the 1 right lane is blocked, and traffic is stacked up through there. Accident westbound 70 past 141. Now this one started in the center lane, and it's just been a mess. It's on the bridge. They're trying to get it out, and we have a parking lot jam back through 270. Also an accident, southbound 55, that one before Gasconade. It was in the left lane. Looks like they may have dealt with that one. Things aren't as bad through there. And eastbound 44, road work in the 2 right lanes approaching Kings Highway through 39th Street. And that is causing delays, too. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, you just heard George, and he's one of the founders of ThrottleNet. ThrottleNet has been helping St. Louis businesses navigate technology for over 25 years now. They focus on security strategy, keeping companies productive and safe. And what makes them different? Well, cyber threats are a huge problem, and it's not just for big companies. Small and mid-sized St. Louis businesses are being targeted. Don't put yourself at risk. One data breach or ransomware attack, and we talk with about these with George every time it happens. We haven't had a big national one for a while that made news, but you don't hear about them. We may or may not have been hit with one here at Odyssey St. Louis several years ago. Can't confirm that, but this is a problem because that could really shut your business down, cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars, and really affect customer trust as well. ThrottleNet's going to protect you. So visit throttlenet.com/971 for a free baseline IT security audit. Again, throttlenet.com/971. A great way to get clarity on your cybersecurity risk with ThrottleNet.
2026 is an election year, and 97.1 FM Talk will be your home for every twist and turn in the 2026 midterms. 97.1 FM Talk. Keep it here for radio coverage that's 25 years strong.
One of the biggest gifts you can give your family is peace of mind. That's why I trust and recommend Civia Law. They've helped so many families, including mine, right here in our community with estate planning, wills, trusts, powers of attorney, and elder law issues. I've seen how stressful it can be when a loved one passes without a plan. Families are left confused, sometimes tied up in probate court, and it can cost so much in time and money. But with Civia Law, you don't have to worry about that. They'll walk you through everything and even deliver your completed documents in just 2 weeks from your first appointment. And here's something special just for you. Mention the Annie Fry Show, and the first 10 listeners right now will get a free strategy session. That's a $300 value. 833-995-WILL. Just be sure to mention the Annie Fry Show when you call. Civia Law has 7 convenient locations across Illinois and Missouri, including in Edwardsville, Swansea, and Creve Coeur. Secure your legacy and protect the people you love. Call 833-995-WILL. That's 833-995-WILL, or visit civialaw.com.
St. Louis, laugh it up with Jimmy Fallon live at the Factory on January 24th. From national radio to sold-out comedy clubs, Jimmy delivers fast, fearless stand-up that hits home.
The only ones raising tough kids anymore. The redneck babies are going to take on ISIS. The hipster babies are going to battle the evil forces of gluten. You know what I'm saying?
Grab your friends and get ready for a night of laughs. One show, one night only. Don't miss Jimmy Fallon, January 24th at the Factory. Get your tickets now at thefactorystl.com. That's thefactorystl.com.
If you're trying to sell a home, there's only one agent in town that I trust, Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. My friends Mark and Neil have the best system to connect you to the best qualified buyers, getting your home sold fast and for top dollar. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's best eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, not sure what the night holds in Minneapolis. That will be the focus of our audio cut of the day here in just a moment. The shooting up there and the competing narratives of the video that have emerged. Don't forget, as we round out the week, we have a Reardon Roundtable on Friday. You know, I've done the Roundtable for many, many years. It actually started when I was first here in St. Louis in 1996, Sue. I started doing it. It was fashion. Bill Maher had a show in the 90s called Politically Incorrect, and our current boss, Steve Moore, and I think noodled on the idea. And at first, I would have, like, even comedians that would come into town, I'd have them on the roundtable. Wasn't as good with the local issues, if you would. But, you know, it's evolved into something over decades, and we're really proud of it, and we have a lot of fun. We have great guests, but we do have a bit of a change coming, and I'll make an announcement on that at 3 o'clock on Friday. Let's do this before we get out of here.
Stand by. Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
Well, nobody can agree on anything. And here's Christine Ohm's version of what happened today in Minneapolis.
It was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him. And my understanding is that she was hit and is deceased. We're continuing to gather more information, but this goes to show the assaults that our ICE officers and our law enforcement are under every single day. These vehicle rammings are domestic acts of terrorism.
All right, so that's the DHS version of the events. There are several videos that have emerged, and this guy, Jacob Fry, punk mayor of Minneapolis, just shoots from the hip, not knowing any of the facts.
What we do know is that a 37-year-old woman is dead and that she was shot by ICE. We've dreaded this moment since the early stages of this ICE presence in Minneapolis. Not only is this a concern that we've had internally, we've been talking about it. They are not here to cause safety in this city. What they are doing is not to provide safety in America.
It's unbelievable because, you know, Tim Walz was criticizing the lack of communication from the feds with the locals. Are you kidding me? They've specifically, Jacob Fry has told his police department essentially to stand down when it comes to ICE. And he said, we've been talking about something like this happening? Yeah. when you're a sanctuary city, when you have people that are being arrested for, you heard Kristi Noem earlier this hour talking about some child porn and things like that, and you're encouraging people to do everything that they can to thwart the operations of the federal officers, yeah, someone's going to get hurt, and someone might get killed. And that's what happened today.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, the accident westbound 70 on the Blanchette Bridge is still blocking traffic lanes, and it started in the center lane. We've still got a parking lot jam that goes back through 270. There's also an accident westbound 70 near Lindbergh, and that is causing delays. We elsewhere had, it's road work going on eastbound 44 at Kings Highway. They've got the 2 right lanes down till 6:30, and that's caused a delay. Westbound 6440, a slow go. It's mainly Kings Highway, eastbound slowing 170 through Big Bend, and westbound out west, look for a slowdown at Prospect. If you're headed into Illinois, things look great. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I want to spread the good word about all these great things happening at the Missouri Athletic Club. On Friday of this week at the downtown clubhouse, they do something called the Herman Trophy Awards. That is crowning the best players in collegiate soccer, and there still are some available tickets for that event on Friday night. This is one you want to put on your calendar. We should probably focus on this a little bit because the new president and CEO of the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, Alberto Musalem, is going to speak at the MAC downtown clubhouse for an event on February 25th. And some of us are old enough to remember the old Town and Country Racquet Club there at 270 in Manchester. Well, that is the MAC West location. I hang out there, and that was 30 years ago. In 1995 is when the MAC acquired the Town and Country Racquet Club, and that just made the club so much better. I favor West just because I live closer, and we're going to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the West Clubhouse later this month on Friday, January 23rd. You can always find out more at mac-stl.org.
This is attorney Todd Nissenholtz of Kaufman Townsley. If you're the victim of a careless driver due to no fault of your own, the only way to know what your case is worth is by uncovering the full extent